WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
Well, it's always nice to come home to the phone lines down and craziness. Was it a thunder and lightning storm that hit here? Or the wind? Or was it a breeze maybe that blew through and the two little tiny alligator clips that were holding everything together kind of blew off in the breeze? Was it a robin thinking that alligator clip was a worm? Who knows?
Not sure.
So the question is, was it a thunder and lightning storm or was it just
No, I
snow?
don't think so.
We don't know why the phone lines are down? Sounds like Davey's protecting.
It's day 2 of that, by the way.
It's day 2, yeah. So we'll figure out a way to take phone calls. We'll be able to do it. It might sound like crap, but we'll do it. Good morning, and we are going to see a change in the weather.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I mean,
Positive.
cool off. It's going to cool off Sunday, but otherwise tomorrow, like 63 degrees tomorrow. And then next week, 50s and 60s, I will take it. What happened yesterday with school districts all around New York State, including Utica, Rome, Syracuse, Albany region, and elsewhere, getting active shooter calls?
Yeah, terrible. It started earlier in the day. To my knowledge, it was earlier in the day with the Capital Region. Utica got a call. 911 got a call about Utica at like 10:03. RFA's call was at 10:10 based on a statement from Rome Police. They think it's possible that it's the same person who made both calls. They are still investigating. And, I was starting to think about this. There's got to be an adult coordination in here. I don't even know if my argument makes sense, to be honest with you, but I just couldn't imagine a group of 11th graders or 10th graders coming up with this plan and executing it statewide, right?
So you think maybe an adult is involved?
Absolutely. There's some type of coordination for some reason.
Because it just so happens you're calling the major school districts around the state.
Right.
So you're calling the bigger cities. You're calling Syracuse. You're calling Albany. I don't know of a report in Western New York, but I'm assuming it happened in Western New York as well. You knew enough to pick Utica and Rome here. So, and they believe it's probably the same person, all the same person. So what gives, right?
Yeah. And again, I know this is an odd argument, but I gave a little thought to it. Not that it couldn't be a group of children who coordinated this. I'm not saying they're not smart. I'm just saying typically when you see these things, it's in the context of let's get school canceled today. Let's do something that affects our school. Not, we could get Albany too, and we could get Syracuse, and we can get the southern region, and we can get this part, and we can get Mohawk Valley.
And what's the end goal?
Right.
I don't understand. You just think you're causing mayhem. And by the way, when an ambulance or a police car is racing to a scene, the possibility that somebody goes through a stoplight and there's an accident and somebody dies is there. That's terrible. And then even beyond that, there could be one of these situations where police burst through a door and it causes someone to fire back. I mean, anything could happen when all of this goes on, not to mention the trauma you cause for little kids, especially the little kids. But adults, the high school kids and adults, everybody. It's just ridiculous. I don't understand the big end goal here. But, it happened.
Yeah, Utica police had sent out a release shortly after saying they searched the entire building. Same thing from Rome. They had searched the entire building. Didn't find anything, of course.
When we were kids in the 70s, this is the big thing was, you had the bomb scares. And in the beginning, school was closed. But after time went on, they began to kind of think, well, all right, we'll get kids out of the school. We'll do a quick sweep of the school and then realize there's nothing there, and we go back into school. Mm-hmm. So it was a disruption, but it wasn't a cancellation. And there never really was a bomb. I don't know of any school that was bombed. Maybe there was one case. I don't know. I don't know what prompted the bomb scares, but it was enough to create havoc. Yeah. Yesterday, former President Donald Trump became the first president after leaving office to be charged with a crime. He was indicted in New York City yesterday. This is something that's been talked about for quite some time. This could be a really great, and from what we're hearing, is that the plan is that Trump would surrender, if you will, and be processed on Tuesday, is what people are saying. But I think it's an opportunity for Trump, to be honest with you. And you can argue whether there should be an indictment or there shouldn't be an indictment. We really don't even know what the charges are yet, and probably won't know until he's processed. Although, who knows? We might learn today. But it is an opportunity, don't you think, for Trump to be able to do the right thing, handle this responsibly, and not start calling for people or predicting that people are going to get violent and you got to take your country back, can create some sort of a civil war situation. I think if he handles it perfectly, he could probably get a bump in the polls when this is all said and done.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. Now,
the other could happen as well. He could handle it poorly
and still get a bump in the polls.
And maybe, but I think you're seeing you'll see Republicans step away. Even Fox News, he did his interview with Piers Morgan, and then he was on Hannity the other night. Even Fox News was very critical of Trump. I was really surprised with the rhetoric that came out of Fox News the day after his interview with Hannity yesterday.
So I just question the leaks, these reports. Okay, so and I know Trump had leaked some information as well, but it just makes you again think, man, when I hear a story or a breaking news event, in many cases, how much truth is actually in there? So Trump had leaked he was going to get arrested. Was it last Tuesday or was it 2 weeks ago?
One or the other, yeah.
Yeah. So this went on, and then there were days that the grand jury didn't hear testimony. We kept getting updates.
The only leak, though, from that came from Trump.
Well, yesterday it came out that the grand jury was being sent home and there wasn't going to be an indictment at least for 30 days. And then 2 hours later, they said he's indicted.
Well, I think that shows that there was not a leak out of there. In fact, we don't even know what the charge is yet.
Okay, I want you have an issue with the word leak. The reports were that they were being sent home for 30 days and there wasn't going to be an indictment at least for 30 days.
I think that we have a problem with accuracy. And I think you have a problem with outlets wanting to be first. And that's been a problem we've been dealing with for a long time, at least in our modern long time, right? Because everything happens so quickly, and you have the 24-hour news cycle, and everybody's surmising, and then, one person says, they get one person on one of these cable talk shows that says, I think this is a good sign that if they're sending the jury home, we aren't going to see anything until next week. And then everybody's reporting there will be nothing until next week. And then by evening, the grand jury comes back and they decide to indict. So you're right. It's hard to determine what you can depend on. And what's real, what's not real.
The actual charge, I mean, I know it's believed to be, and not believed to be, but it's about the election and use of campaign funds, right?
It is all. It's about, as far as we know, it's about the Stormy Daniels thing.
Right. Now, I should just leave it at Stormy Daniels.
Was there testimony that they learned something new, and that becomes a part of this? We just don't know, and we won't know until they announce the official charges.
So I'm not missing it. They haven't been announced. Yeah, I saw it yesterday as I was starting to fade away.
It depends on who you're listening to. Some people know already, so they say. Yeah. And chances are they'll guess right. I feel like it makes it so much more confusing in the world of news today. But all I'm saying is this could be if Trump comes out and does his same old, playing the I don't want to say play, because he can play the victim here, I think, and score a victory. But the way he handles it, if he can handle it responsibly, I think this could be a win for him. Mm-hmm. But if, there's more of this the craziness. I told you I won the election, et cetera, et cetera. Your country has been taken from you. You have to stand up and fight to get it back. It's that language that is kind of scary during this day and age. And I think that would be, it's the same old Trump. He's still saying things that are dangerous or insulting or whatever, whoever is doing the judging, whatever that means. But I do think there are many Republicans, the number is still the majority support Trump, but I think you're seeing more Republicans walk away, and they have a place to walk now, right? They have a side to go with, and at the very least, it's DeSantis right now, which seems to be where Fox News, the news channel, has gone. It seems like Murdoch's choice is DeSantis, and not Trump in this run. And why is that? It's not because of the things the irresponsible things that he said. It's because he hasn't won. He didn't win in the midterms. He didn't win the last election. And I think their fear is that while he can win a primary, he can't win a general election. So what happens? I guess we'll find out. And today will be a big day, maybe. Maybe we won't learn anything. I just find it crazy.
Maybe we'll learn 4 things that turn out to not be true.
Yeah, you're right. And we'll run with those all weekend long. Also, overshadowed by the Trump indictment was the Gwyneth Paltrow trial, and she was found to be not responsible for, I just thought this was coming. This guy was not believable.
Oh, yeah?
Well, he's starting out suing her for in the millions, and then they're like, well, that's too far. He's like, okay, I'll take $300,000. And
he's just looking for a deal.
He's just looking for that change alone made you feel like this is just a guy that's looking. He realizes he had some confrontation with another skier on the slope, and it just so happens this one has deep pockets. Let's see what we can get. And you have, Gwyneth Paltrow versus this guy. The guy's saying, yes, she slammed into me, and it caused terrible injuries. He looks good to me. He looks okay, right? Yeah. I think the jury looked at it this way, and just she's probably better on the stand than he was, and they believed her.
So not guilty. No other.
I think she might have won her countersuit. She sued him.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So she'll get $1. And I was kind of thinking, if I'm the guy, I'd have been like, all right, pull out the wallet and hand her the $1. Let's not prolong this thing. Here's your $1 bill.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Yesterday, Major League Baseball got underway. It was kind of cool to see everybody playing in Major League Baseball.
So I did watch most of the Yankee game. I saw Judge's home run live. Boy, he's so good. I saw the Mets game. I watched 90% of that live. And then I kind of was like, I'm going to just fade away here and go to sleep. So I missed this, but Dave Anthony talked about we had the first strikeout of a batter for a delay.
Oh, yeah.
And was it the first ball for a delay?
Yeah, Marcus Stroman from the Cubs.
Yep.
And Rafael, the guy from
Devers,
Devers from the Red Sox.
So
I think to a better player on the Red Sox.
I think that didn't somebody from the Mets get called a strike?
Pete Alonso.
Pete Alonso. Yep.
I must have missed that one. Yeah, obviously, but
I missed it too. I just saw it in the on one of the news feeds. Mike here this morning says, and I believe that he's right. Unfortunately, we are victims of the 24-hour news cycle. We end up listening to people talking about what they want to have happen, which is not necessarily the actual facts. Then it goes repeated again and again and again. The other thing is, I think we're a headline society where you read a headline and the headlines can be very deceiving.
Yeah.
The headline's luring you in to make the click. And then once you get in and start reading it, the story doesn't necessarily represent, or the headline doesn't represent what the story really says.
Right.
Rob says Fox is definitely for DeSantis and all the other media is for Joe. Rob, wrong. Nobody's for Joe. I don't think anybody's for Joe. It's like, are you a big Joe Biden fan? No. If the opponent is Donald Trump, who should be the next president? Well, of course, Biden. I mean, that's what I think you get out of Democrats. I don't think there are many Democrats out there that are huge. I don't know if there is a Democrat that anybody likes right now. Is there anybody? Could you think of anybody to step in and be like, wow, here comes the next savior for the Democrats?
Well,
it's certainly not Kamala Harris, I'll tell you that.
Oh, my goodness. No. There's a
Pete
couple
Buttigieg, not him.
Tulsi Gabbard, and who's the other one? Aren't there a couple of, and Sinema, I guess she changed parties. There were a couple of Democrats that Republicans were all rah, rah, rah about, but now Sinema's changed party, and Tulsi Gabbard now they've painted her as Putin's, I don't know, pen pal or something, right? I'm trying to remember what dictator she met with, and they said it was the worst thing in the world, and
by the way, Rob is showing is it Rob or Mike that sent this in? It's Rob. And is that today's OD? Trump grand jury to take a break. Jurors will discuss other cases before the holiday. Is that in today's paper?
That was I don't know if that's in today's paper, but I know
yes,
that
that is an AP story, by the way.
That was the first story that came out yesterday. I heard that yesterday afternoon.
Maybe that was in yesterday's paper.
And then I heard somebody else saying Trump was indicted, and I'm like, wait, no.
You gotta listen today. You got to be careful about following the leads. You know, there are these little tips that you get, and then they run with it as if it's fact. But that's AP. That's an AP story that's incorrect. I don't get it. What else in the news that I wanted to hit on? You know, I really enjoyed yesterday. I woke up just early enough. We had a family issue yesterday, so I was off yesterday. I woke up just early enough to see people complaining that the YouTube feed wasn't up, and then it was up, but it was just audio. It was no video, and I kind of enjoyed the. I kind of liked it with no picture.
Oh, yeah.
And it made me completely focus on the audio. And I that is today's OD. That's so funny. Oh my God. Well, the indictment came out early. It was out before 8:00, wasn't it?
8 p.m. You're saying?
Yeah, last night.
Yeah.
Wow. When does the paper print now? Wow. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, you could hear the audio and only the audio. And I have to say, it forced you to just listen. The audio on the app and although the app was down yesterday because of whatever storm drifted in and took out a half of our building, I felt like the audio was really, really good quality. Man, have we come a long way with technology. It's incredible.
Yeah, and listening to audio with no.
And I was out of town listening. I was out of town
with no matching video. It's kind of like, what do they call that? Radio.
It is like radio. What a different concept! What an amazing concept. TV without video. What is that? What would we call it? What should we call it? Coming up, we're going to talk to Willie Waffle. Let's see how we get through that with no phone lines. That'll be fun. Let's see. Syracuse Navy has announced Chris Bell will return to the Orange next season and play his sophomore year as an Orange man. Although I guess we don't call
say
it
that.
Orange
All
man.
right, we're gonna have to cancel the show now. That you
as
said
an Orange
that.
person, I believe.
Yeah, because Adrian Autry recruited him.
Oh, okay. So that's what we're starting to see. The people who Autry played a role in recruiting seem to play. Those players seem to be hanging around.
Yeah, and he filled out the rest of his staff. He got a associate coach from George Washington University.
Yeah.
And on the side note, this new coach from George Washington is the one that recruited Autry's son to go to George Washington.
All right, that's cool.
Not the one that played with him at Syracuse, but another son. I think his son's name is Trey.
Verlander yesterday. We learned before the start of the season, one of the big pitchers the Mets are going to be relying on this season has a muscle strain and is already on the injured list.
Yeah. I know Richard's saying, see, I told you they're old and they're going to get injured. I'm not disagreeing with you, Richard. My thought was Verlander and Scherzer were old last year and the year before that and the year before that and the year before that.
Well, sooner or later they're going to be too old to perform, and let's hope it's not this year. Because I think we're doing a lot of banking, literally, on this here.
Yeah.
Let's see. In Utica, a woman was arrested for allegedly hitting her 2 children with electrical cords. Man, as a kid, I knew kids that got hit with electrical cords. That's how they were beaten. And I knew kids that were hit by a horsewhip. That's how they got their spanking.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. Well, so in this particular case, CPS was alerted, I believe, while they were investigating. They could still...
And don't get me wrong. I think hitting your kid with an electrical cord is abuse, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Especially if you're whipping them with it. I mean, what the hell?
The 2 kids were ages 5 and 9. CPS, when they investigated, I believe they could still see welts and swelling on the kids. So those 2 children, along with 3 other kids who lived in the home, were removed. And boy, that's just it's terrible. So a woman is charged with. Now it's interesting. I find that they identified her as the mother, but police authorities in releasing the arrest did not identify as the mother. They just said a woman, and I wonder if that's to protect. They try to protect victims, so they don't identify who the victim is.
And the kids were, by the way, the 2 kids are 5 and 9.
Yeah, 5 and 9. So
both kids, according to the report, this one I'm reading from KTV, both kids had visible swelling and bruises. CPS removed a total of 5 children from the home as a result.
We have that story up on our website as well, and so you can take a look. It's 2 charges of assault, 2 charges of endangering the welfare of a child.
All
and
right.
Police also said in their release that they believed that it had occurred multiple times on multiple occasions. It wasn't like it just happened that particular day.
Rick says Gwyneth Paltrow countersued for $1 plus legal fees. I didn't see that. And legal fees are expected to be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. I did not see that. But, I watched a little of this trial. These trials today you can catch on YouTube all the time. It's really incredible. And most of the trials are allowing cameras into the courtroom. And I saw testimony from him and I saw from her. And maybe it's because she's an actress, but she was just far more believable. This guy looked to be looking for a payday.
And what was the belief? That she crashed into him and it caused a terrible neck injury or something like that?
She crashed into him, and she said he crashed into her. And he ended up with a neck injury. She ended up being annoyed. So I just felt it was tough his claims seemed to be tough to swallow. And then Rob says from an anti-Trump website, the Drudge Report, you're finding this, right? People are making choices, whether they like Trump or they like DeSantis in the Republican world. And here's the polling. Will Trump be convicted in the Manhattan case? That was the Drudge poll. 58% said no. I didn't think he would be convicted. I didn't think he would be indicted. But this question is convicted. And I was one of those who didn't think they would indict. Just because it had been so long, it's kind of a muddy case. It's a weak case. The other 2 cases that exist out there are certainly far more severe and I think more important than this one. And think about it, there are other DAs that passed up on this, that saying this isn't worth it, I'm not going to pursue this. But they did indict. But this question is, will Trump be convicted in the Manhattan case? 6.29% of the people in the Drudge poll are not sure. 58% say no. 35% say that he will be convicted.
What is that, wishful thinking? Again, this just seems like an odd case.
Well, anytime you ask somebody their opinion, I guess maybe there's a little piece of wishful thinking in there. It's possible.
I also wonder if those people who are pro DeSantis now become, indict him, get him guilty so he can't run,
Well, I think the fear is that he'll get more support by going through this process.
No, I think so too.
But the victim type thing. But I wonder.
Yeah.
Stefan Rybitsky, the Mets won 5-3. Stefan, come on, that's old news, man. And Michael, you also can't use the term orange person because that term is designated for Donald Trump. Okay. Thank you, Michael, for that. All right, I have Willie Waffle coming up. Somehow we're going to get him on the air. No telephone line, so if you're calling us here, you're not going to get us. But if you could send us some smoke signals, I'll figure a way to get you on the air, I promise. It's 6:48 on Friday morning at WIBX.
If you have severe pain, there is help. I'm speaking of Dr. Hyder and the Omni Surgical Center in Utica. My father had debilitating back pain. He couldn't sleep. No way to stop the pain. Nothing worked. He received a non-surgical injection treatment from Dr. Hyder at Omni Surgical, and the pain was eliminated. I describe this as nothing short of a miracle. There is relief out there. Call the Omni Surgery Center today. Omni Surgery Center, where modern technology meets cutting-edge surgery.
Adirondack Home Furniture now carries Smith Brothers Furniture. Smith Brothers has been creating customized living room furniture since 1925 and is known for its high-quality, solid-built, top-of-the-line pieces. Made in America with modern technology using age-old craftsmanship, Smith Brothers offers furniture that you can have confidence in for generations. Smith Brothers is a solid and dependable brand who provide innovative furniture design with every piece. Smith Brothers is a leader in the furniture industry with their award-winning line of upholstered furniture. They have built a reputation for their value and design leadership with furniture of the finest quality. We would love for you to come and browse our extensive inventory and see for yourself. Smith Brothers, now available at Adirondack Home Furniture. Stop in today. Adirondack Home Furniture in the Riverside Center, North Utica, or at AdirondackHomeFurniture.com. Create the home of your dreams with Smith Brothers and Adirondack Home Furniture. 315-738-7817.
Refresh and renew your home this spring with Little Falls Lumber. They're fully stocked with secondary grade metal in all colors and 12-foot lengths. An affordable option for fixing utility sheds, roofs, or garages. Looking for lumber and tired of the warped pieces from the big box stores? Then go to Little Falls Lumber, where they stock only premium grade lumber. Stop in to one of their 3 convenient locations: Little Falls, Syracuse, and Schenectady. Little Falls Lumber, helping you refresh and renew this spring. Call 315-823-2470 or visit littlefallslumber.com.
Today on Hey Culligan's Smart Home, Smarter Water Softener, here's Kevin.
Hey Culligan, can a smart water softener lift those heavy salt bags for me?
Kevin, it can.
Wait, it can?
Yep, the smart high-efficiency water softener from Culligan can alert your dealer when the salt needs to be replaced, and they'll do it for you, so your water stays soft and you stay away from lifting the bags.
I mean, I could lift them if I wanted.
No judgment here, Kevin. We're happy to do it, and we're already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test with the local Culligan water expert at Culligan.com.
I'm Scott Trout, attorney and CEO of the domestic litigation firm Cordell & Cordell. We help men deal with the life changes triggered by divorce, such as child custody and property division, among many others. But life changes also occur after divorce. These changes can make parts of your existing court order irrelevant. If you feel a modification to your court orders might be necessary, talk to us at Cordell & Cordell. We're a partner men can count on.
Online at CordellCordell.com. 518-554-0000. 100 Great Oaks Boulevard, Suite 110, Albany, New York, 12203.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
Hey, good morning. We have a comedian in studio here this morning. Luke Thayer is in. He's the headlining comedian this weekend at Fat Cats Comedy Club. 4 more weeks of comedy action at Fat Cats, and then they take the summer off. So get in to see a show this month, or you won't do it until fall. Does that make sense? I guess it does. All right, we have on the line right now the one and only, and I'm going to do this the only way we're able to do it right now, and just basically hold up the telephone to the microphone and hope that you'll be able to hear him. Here he is, Willie Waffle. Good morning, Willie.
I'll just try to yell and scream louder than usual. That should probably help.
I love it. All right. So first of all, let's talk about the movies that are hitting theaters. I don't have enough arms to get your email up here so I can see what you're going to talk about.
Right. We have a nice little mix. So we've got one big movie hitting theaters, then a couple that are kind of hitting the streams, and we're going to start with Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. They've been trying to do a Dungeons and Dragons movie forever, and there's a couple of efforts that they've made over the years that let's just say weren't very good.
Yeah.
And now we've got what I think is maybe the one that's going to work. And it really is a nice mix of, kind of what the Dungeons and Dragons fans want, right? It's like they're going on a quest. We have this group of this ragtag motley crew, right? This group led by Chris Pine. He's a thief. He gets out of prison with his buddy, played by Michelle Rodriguez, and he goes back to his land, and everything has changed. And he realizes to change everything back, he and his friends need to steal this old relic and take power once again from the evil that has set into the land. And, it's full of action, and it's full of nice, witty little one-liners. And Chris Pine is a very charming guy. He really is a great lead, and I think makes this movie work. It's way too long. I think it starts to get repetitive. But I'm going to say 3 waffles. I think you got a good, solid, fun movie.
Wow, you like this one?
I do. It's a good kind of fun, swashbuckling kind of movie, right? You got these guys that are going to get involved in all these adventures and all this action and all this craziness. I saw somebody who said it's really like a Pirates of the Caribbean movie, where you're going to have some goofiness along with the action. And that seems to work pretty well. I thought it worked well here.
Okay. So what's streaming? What's the big streaming stuff to look for this weekend?
Well, Netflix has a new series starts this week or premieres this week with Rob Lowe. It's called Unstable, and I actually think it's really funny. So it's Rob Lowe playing this like tech genius. Think of him as Steve Jobs, and his whole life has fallen apart. His wife passed away. His company is just kind of ready to kick him out, even though he was the founder. And the people around him decide they need to bring in the one person who can ground him and get him back on the path. And it's his son, who he hasn't really been that much in touch with over the last few years. And, it's a comedy, believe it or not. After that big lead up, right, you're thinking, oh, my God, serious, really heavy drama. But it's a comedy. It's a comedy where Rob Lowe plays a guy who's becoming unhinged in the funny way, in a way that makes you giggle and laugh at all the just the outrageous things that he says and the outrageous things he does. Kind of that we'll forgive anything if we call you a genius. You can be as much of an idiot as you want because we'll chalk it up to you being super, super smart. And that's what is going on in this show. I'm going like 2.5 waffles. I think you got a good solid one here.
This month in April, there are some things that are going to be coming out. Obviously, Ted Lasso is already out there with his episodes, and they're doing it that way where they hold it back. It's the old-fashioned way. It's a new episode every week. But we've been watching. It's a 3-episode series, and it's about Waco, Texas, Koresh. That was, I got to say,
Netflix.
Yeah, really good. We just finished it last night.
Yeah, and I think that there's so much more that we learn about that now that we're about almost 30 years after the fact now.
Yeah,
and looking back and looking back at how it was handled and what happened and getting that background about Koresh and the group that we didn't get at the time when the incident happened in Waco. And I think that's the thing, kind of that having that opportunity to look back and just kind of consider all the history rather than, in the moment where it's just there's this crazy group of people that have holed up in this house in Waco, Texas.
Yeah. I think they did a good job in this series. If you remember how this thing went down, it was like, 20 days or something. They were held up. And the FBI came in, ATF. There were 4 ATF agents that died. They just sprayed the building with gunfire. They had a ton of weaponry inside the building. Koresh was crazy, thought he was the second coming of Christ, believed he was God, or at least convinced all those people inside that he was God. And then the interesting part about it, Willie, is I thought they showed all sides. They showed the crazies. They showed some people that were actually in the building and still believe today that he was God and that they killed him. It shows what they did at the end, which was a horrific ending to the whole thing. But it shows how bad the FBI handled it and how bad the ATF handled it. They just butchered this job. It was terrible.
Yeah, and this also came on the heels of another incident, if I remember correctly, Ruby Ridge. That was a bad time for the FBI and the ATF. Yeah.
And then what was his name from the the buildings in
Unabomber.
What was his name?
The Unabomber
Ted
was
Kaczynski.
Ted Kaczynski, but
Not Ted-
are you thinking about the Oklahoma bombing?
Oklahoma bombings. What was his name?
There was Terry Nichols, who was one of the accessories, but I don't think he was the
No,
main
it wasn't him.
person.
What was his name, Davey?
Yeah.
Timothy McVeigh.
Timothy McVeigh was at
McVeigh.
Waco. There are photos.
My Lord, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And of course, what he did when the Oklahoma City bombings happened on the anniversary of what happened at the Davidian Ranch in Waco. So, yeah, pretty something to watch. It's pretty crazy. All right, anything else you want to hit on, Willie, as we go antiquated here this morning? Anything else?
As we exit, let us talk a little bit about the big story that we talked about last week. Gwyneth Paltrow has won her court case, and I'm telling you, in the biggest baller, OG move in the history of law, on her way out of the courtroom, after she beat this guy, after she embarrassed this guy, after she just completely demolished him, she leaned down in his ear and said, "I wish you well." Oh, dagger through the heart. Dagger through the heart.
It's almost like she was playing a movie. She and you could tell she was just so much better on the stand than he was. But he just looked like a guy that was trying to get money. I mean, he just looked bad.
Oh, the whole court case made him look horrible.
Yeah.
And frankly, I think justifiably so. When you look at the facts, and you look at the behavior, and you look at everything that happened, I really do think he was. I do think he was at fault. So justice prevailed. No matter what you think about either of them as people, because I think a little less of both of them as people at this point.
I totally agree. All right, Willie, thank you, man. Have a wonderful week. We'll talk next week.
Next week, Super Mario Brothers. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
From the Stanley Theater Studio, WIBX 950 Utica Rome, W295DI Utica Rome, your news, talk, and sports leader, a Town Square media station.
Reporting for duty. I'm Dave Anthony. Fox News. Police all over New York City the morning after former President Trump was indicted.
An unprecedented move requires a massive response. The NYPD has ordered every police officer to be in full uniform today as a precautionary measure.
That's Fox's Madeline Rivera. Trump had called for protests if he's criminally charged related to a hush money payment to a porn star before the 2016 election to keep an alleged affair quiet.
Democrats argue this indictment shows no one is above the law. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says in a statement, Mr. Trump is subject to the same laws as every American. He will be able to avail himself of the legal system and a jury, not politics, to determine his fate according to the facts and the law.
The former president may surrender as early as next Tuesday to still face unsealed charges that could be related to falsifying records or violating campaign finance laws. He blames the charges on radical left-wing monsters, calling it blatant election interference as he runs again. His son Eric tells Fox.
There's so much theft and there's so much looting, there's so much homelessness and crime, but yet their attention is going after Donald Trump.
Republicans in Congress also called political and outrageous. 2 police officers in critical condition in Memphis. So is the gunman who shot them at close range last night after they fired back. In Nashville.
Yes, I hear another shot. You did? I'm hearing more shots. Okay.
That's among the 911 calls released from Monday's school shooting.
Do you know if how many people are injured right now?
I have no idea.
The gunman killed 3 students and 3 adults until police killed her. A victory in court in Utah for Gwyneth Paltrow.
Was Terry Sanderson at fault? Yes.
He had sued the actress over a collision on a ski slope in 2016, claiming it led to severe brain injuries. Paltrow says he ran into her and then countersued.
Did Terry Sanderson's fault cause Gwyneth Paltrow's harm? Yes.
She wins $1 and repayment of legal fees. America's listening to Fox News.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Well, off to a chilly start here this morning. WIBX news time is 7:03. We have mostly clear skies and 24 degrees. Looking to warm things up today into the mid-40s and mid-60s tomorrow. We'll take a closer look at that forecast coming up in just a few minutes. This news update is brought to you by My Carl's Lucky Triple Bonus Sale with 3 bonuses to choose from. Save on your sales tax, get a free area rug or free interest for 1 full year. My Carl's in the New Hartford Shopping Center and Destiny USA. The investigation is ongoing after 2 local schools were swatted yesterday. Fake reports to 911 about active shooters or shots fired at both Proctor High School and Rome Free Academy. It was later determined that there was no actual threat to either school, and the 2 local districts were one of two of a series of schools in central New York that received these phony calls yesterday.
Swatting is what it's called, right?
Yes, yeah. Swatting. Several schools in the capital region and some in Syracuse were victim of this as well. The investigation into the incident is ongoing. A Utica woman facing assault and endangering charges after she allegedly hit 2 young children with electrical cords multiple times on several different occasions. That's according to Utica police, who say the investigation has led to 5 children being removed from her home. In announcing the arrest, police said an initial complaint was made to Child Protective Services. While investigating, CPS officials saw visible swelling and contusions on 2 children, ages 5 and 9. That prompted a decision to immediately remove those 2 children and 3 others from the home. Sherry Roman, a 25-year-old woman from Utica, was arrested on 2 charges of assault and 2 charges of endangering the welfare of a child. If you haven't already signed up but would like to, time is running out. The 2023 Boilermaker Road Race is filling up. Organizers say there are still a limited number of spots left for the 5K and the 15K, and that roughly 100 people are registering each day. This year's Boilermaker is happening on Sunday, July 9th. More information online at Boilermaker.com. And lawmakers head back to the state capitol for more work as time continues to tick away toward getting a state budget passed on time. They have until midnight tonight to reach an agreement, but that's unlikely to happen, officials say. The main issues that still need to be worked out involve affordable housing, changes to the state's bail reform law, and a minimum wage increase. Last year's budget ended up being 9 days late. If the deadline is missed, an emergency spending measure has to be passed by the end of the day on Monday to ensure that state workers are still getting paid. Your WIBX Weather Center forecast, a nice warm-up here, especially compared to what we've seen over the last 20 hours or so. Here's your forecast from Eyewitness News Chief Meteorologist Craig Flint.
I'm Eyewitness News Chief Meteorologist Craig Flint in the WIBX Weather Center. Periods of rain and wet snow over higher elevations and the Adirondacks. Temperatures by this evening near 50. Showers likely tonight. Breezy, mild upper 40s to near 50. Rain, thundery downpours early Saturday, then windy and warm with another round of scattered downpours and locally strong storms by afternoon. High 65. For more on your local forecast, tune to Eyewitness News at 6 on WUTR. I'm meteorologist Craig Flint on WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM.
Some clouds and 23 degrees. WIBX News time is 7:07. All right, it's sports day 1 of the Major League Baseball season. Mets get a win, no surprise there on the opening day. And the Yankees got a win yesterday as well. Garrett Cole striking out 11. Aaron Judge hitting his first home run of the season and his first at bat in the first inning. Again, both the Yankees and the Mets win. And 161 more to go. The Mets did get some bad news, though, before the start of yesterday's game. They are placing one of their high-paid free agent additions on the injured list. Veteran right-hander Justin Verlander on the IL with a low-grade muscle strain near his pitching shoulder. Verlander will continue to throw at moderate intensity and will be reevaluated next week. The Knicks are likely to be without a key player for the remainder of the regular season. Forward Julius Randle will be reevaluated in 2 weeks for a sprained ankle. He suffered that during Wednesday night's game against the Miami Heat. 4 schools battling it out in Houston tomorrow for their chance to hoist the national championship. 5th seed San Diego State takes off number 9 seed Florida Atlantic. Also number 4 UConn against number 5 seed Miami. Those are the 4 teams left in the men's national championship. Alabama's top freshman will not be returning for another season in Tuscaloosa. Forward Brandon Miller entering the 2023 NBA draft. Hockey action, the Devils hung on for a big win over their division rivals. New Jersey topped the Rangers 2-1 in Newark last night. The Islanders will be looking to extend their winning streak to 3 games. They take on the Lightning tomorrow night in Tampa Bay. What else here? The Jets appear to be on the verge of signing Odell Beckham Jr. Earlier this month, OBJ held a workout for multiple teams, including the Jets and his former team, the Giants. ESPN says gangrene is the most likely landing spot right now for the wide receiver. And Smitty, tell me what I missed here. Oh, the Utica Comets will play 3 this weekend. Man, they are busy. Home tonight against Rochester, a 7 o'clock start at the Adirondack Bank Center. They'll play on the road at Rochester tomorrow and then come back to Utica to host Syracuse on Sunday.
Okay. Interesting stuff. Big weekend underway. Comedian Luke Thayer is in studio this morning. We'll chat with him. Did you see the story about the woman who's 112 years old from Massachusetts?
God bless her. No.
Does
she have some secrets she wants to share?
What would you expect out of a 112-year-old woman? She's peppy.
She got dirty jokes?
I'm just saying she's peppy. And you know how they always, every time you get one of these older people, they're like, I have a glass of whiskey every night before I go to bed.
Right.
And I smoke a cigar. I've been living for 112 years. This woman is the exact opposite. She's like, my advice is go to bed early, don't drink, and don't smoke.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's sound advice.
That's her advice. So.
It would be funny. You get like what's the rocker who's still alive today? I can't think of his name, and he's just wrinkled, and he's notorious for doing drugs.
From the Stones.
Yeah.
Well,
there's
Richards.
2 of them. Keith Richards is the one I was thinking of. Yeah. Imagine he lives to be like 115, and they interview him. He's like, "Well, look, here's the secret. I've been on an acid trip since '64.
That's right. Still going at it. Yeah.
I'm afraid once I sober up, it's going to be all over.
Doesn't do much for my skin. I do look like a topographical map, but beyond that, I'm living a good life. Living a good life.
That's a great
Check
line, Bill.
I'm not.
It really does, though.
It is unbelievable. The nooks and crannies, right?
Yeah.
Let me break. We'll come back 7:10. Our phone lines are down this morning, so you can't call us. We've done everything we've stolen. We actually took the entire phone mechanism out of OUR and brought it in here and plugged it in, and it doesn't work either. I don't know. Our phone lines are down. Everything you've done everything, right, Davey?
Right.
Yeah.
Better send the doves.
Nothing has worked.
Send in the pigeons with your questions.
Send in, yes. Okay. All right. Or we could do clicking. Those that African tribe that they communicate through clicking. I just gave you the entire phone number. That clicking language is pretty effective.
Well, as long as somebody can understand it.
Mm-hmm.
As long as, that's the key to communication. People always forget this. The key to communicating is making sure that your intended recipient receives the message. So those who speak
That's
click,
right. Yeah.
I think they've got the phone number.
We'll come back, and we won't be speaking click. 7:11 at WIBX.
It's truck season at Steve Ponte Chevrolet. Find new roads with loads of inventory to choose from. Lease a 2023 Chevy Silverado Crew Cab LT, 4-wheel drive All-Star Edition, 39-month lease, 10,000 miles a year for just $498 a month. Or purchase a 2022 Silverado Crew Cab Custom 4-wheel drive Dark Essentials Package. Get 2.9% financing for 72 months and receive $4,000 off. Steve Ponte Chevy, your lucky charm this March. Visit them on Route 28 in Herkimer or at StevePonteChevy.com. See why it's always easy to do business at Steve Ponte Chevrolet. Customer must qualify with top-tier credit with GM Financial. Lease offer stock number 23030. Must have current lease and household, 39-month lease, 10,000 miles per year, 25 cents per mile, penalty over 32,500 miles, $1,000 down, first payment, all taxes and fees due on delivery. Purchase offer, stock number 22471. Must own 2009 or newer Chevrolet and household. Must take delivery by March 31st, 2023.
Are you considering buying an electric vehicle or a plug-in hybrid? Wouldn't it be nice to just fuel up at home with an EV charging station? Potentia is helping to make the convenience of charging easier for your home and your business. As a leader in green electrical projects, Potentia has completed hundreds of large sustainable commercial projects across New York State and are now getting into the residential market. No more stops at the gas station. Charge at home conveniently and economically. With New York State's zero emissions mandate by 2035, Potentia can help design, supply, even install residential and commercial EV charging systems at your home or your business. From permitting and design through the complete installation, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3 with a turnkey EV charging solution with various packages and options available. They guarantee your satisfaction with all their products and their workmanship. Visit Potentia at 4685 Middle Settlement Road, New Hartford. Give them a call at 315-765-6184 or view their website at potentiamanagement.com.
Every day at NBT Bank, we focus our business around all the ways we can help yours. We're large enough to offer leading business and digital solutions, but local enough to ensure personalized one-on-one service. So turn to NBT Bank for a full range of business solutions, like capital and treasury management services, even fraud protection, and see how NBT Bank is just the right size to help you do big things. Visit nbtbank.com to learn more and start a conversation. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language, like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
Hi, this is Lori with Express Employment Professionals. Are you looking for a new job, a career change, a position within your field? Express Employment Professionals is the staffing firm for you. Express has multiple job opportunities across many industries throughout our region. Are you an IT professional? Find that perfect company now. CNC machinists, HVAC and boiler mechanics? We've got the job for you. Are you a warehouse worker, machine operator, forklift driver? Find a better job now. Industrial painters, sheet metal workers, find that new job now. Carpenters, welders, the skilled trades, you're in demand. Bookkeepers, supply chain specialists, and administrative professionals, start a new career today. Our process is easy. Go to expressmohawkvalley.com to complete our online application and apply now. Our recruiters will call you to set up a meeting. You can also call our office at 315-790-5723. Express Employment Professionals. We make it our business to put you to work.
Hey, if you're suffering from pain, fatigue, ADHD, you're just not feeling well, the Falcon Clinic in Washington Mills is accepting new patients right now, and you don't need a referral from your family doctor. If you're having an issue that you just can't seem to solve, it could be a pain of some sort, a back pain, you do not need your primary physician to refer you. You could just make a phone call to the Falcon Clinic, 315-507-4751. I'll tell you a story about a local business owner. She was, her business involves somewhat of having some manual labor, and she was having such pain that she was unable to go forward and thought she was actually going to close her business up and have to retire. She went to the Falcon Clinic, and with an osteopathic approach, it solved her problem. And today, she continues to thrive in her business. She says it was the Falcon Clinic and Dr. Shemileski that changed her life. Or you may have a situation, especially if you're a baby boomer, if you've not been tested for hepatitis C, there are many symptoms out there, including fatigue and aches and pains, that could be hepatitis C. And it is prevalent in baby boomers, and it is 100% curable. Call today, 315-507-4751. Dr. Shemileski is Hep C certified. So even if you're in need of a new family doctor, they have you covered, all under one roof at the Falcon Clinic. Online, falconclinic.com. Call 315-507-4751 and schedule an appointment today. The Falcon Clinic in Washington Mills.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
Trying to think if there's anything that happened. Oh, I do have a story of something that occurred yesterday while I was in my traveling mode. I was out of town yesterday, so I'll tell you a little something that occurred to give you some hope. I think there's some hope. This is not one of the Lester Holt. At the end of every newscast, Lester Holt does and now it's time for Good Time America or whatever. Here's Good News America. I just turn it off. We are trained to like bad news. So the minute they start feeding you the good stories, do you care?
No, a lot of people are that way.
That's me. I must be one of those people.
I know news is typically not positive.
Well, it's bad news. Bad news travels.
It does, and people often are more worried about. Look, if you tell the world everything's going to be okay, they go, okay, well, I don't have anything to worry about, and they stop paying attention.
Yes,
I think that's maybe that's part of the reason that news tends to be negative or not good things. I don't think it's a bad thing to include positive news in there, but you, like many others, at the end of that newscast, do not stick around for the good story.
I don't. On the line right now, his name is
Dan
Hooper. I'm sorry, Dan. I've got you here. Dan is an expert on what's going on in the world of education. He's passionate about giving students the tools they need to succeed in life. And right now, we have a story about high tuition and what it's doing to kids as they graduate high school. A lot of kids, Dan, have decided maybe college is not for me, right?
Right, and God bless them for it. They've figured out what our education system should have been telling them all along, which is be career ready. When you leave high school, in today's economy, a diploma alone is not enough. You need to have something that says you are certified to do this work, whether it's food handling or health tech or welding. And Lord knows we need individuals who can fill these trades. You can find an undergraduate on any street corner, but where do you find a plumber or an electrician or a HVAC expert? Not for under $100 an hour. So great for these kids.
I got to say that it's really quite interesting. We have many programs going on here in upstate New York where kids are being trained or given the opportunity to enter certain training programs from high school, and then shortly after they graduate, programs that are vocational programs, and whether it be a welding or a carpenter or electrician, there's nursing options. There's so many different things that you can do without piling up a big college debt, and boy, they can get really large.
Yeah, the debt is completely out of control. Biden is thinking of a $400 billion forgiveness. We'll replace that in 2 to 3 years and not solve the root problem, which is we're offering 17 and 18-year-old kids from high school without even their parents seeing the transaction, their financial offer from any university in the country. And debt is listed right there with your grants, maybe scholarships. And, a kid sees $7,500 or $10,000. Right next to it is accept or decline. Of course, they accept it. They have no idea, is that enough for this year? Or if they're a returning classman, is how much do I have already? What are the payments going to be and when? And it's a terrible, toxic trap that's designed to make the system look better. Universities say, look, we enrolled all these low-income kids. Yeah, but you kicked them to the street a year later with a pile of debt. High schools say, look, we got you into these great schools. Yeah, but you sent them off not knowing if they could afford it. They loaded up on debt, and, 2/3 of them got kicked out. It's in my opinion, half the kids from high school in our country do nothing after high school in terms of education. We ought to get a large percentage of those kids at least a vocational certificate where they can earn a healthy middle-class wage and open up all kinds of options. Otherwise, we're sending them on a path of poverty.
We up here have BOCES. It's called BOCES, BOCES. And that is where when you become a junior in high school, you can make a decision. You can continue on maybe towards your Regents degree. I think everybody has to have a Regents degree now, but it certainly has changed. But you get the opportunity to go and pick a career at BOCES. And so half the day they would go to BOCES in their junior year and their senior year, and they'd walk away, and they may be working in an automotive program or a welding program. I do think it's and I think we're intensifying that today, especially when we're looking at some high-tech companies that have made their way into the area who they need employees. And 5 years ago, we were not graduating kids ready to go to work at these places.
Right, and we have to ask any school board or principal, what's the ultimate end of K through 12? And they'll stare at you and think of things like Algebra 1 or reading. And but no, the ultimate end is career readiness. And our high schools, I know that the SUNY system in New York is a bit unique, but most high schools and most college systems view kids, particularly low-income kids, as ATM machines. We're going to take your grants, we're going to take your loans, and it's up to you to succeed here. They make minimal effort, but for those kids who don't attempt a post-secondary credential, half the kids in the country, they need to get something, and it's very fulfilling to get a health tech certificate and help patients in the hospital. Get a food handling certificate. Instead of making $12 an hour, you make $24 an hour. Hey, I like to work with my hands. Get a mechanics certificate. But that's not talked about in high school. The measure of success from high school is how many universities did you get accepted into, and how many scholarships did you get? And load up on your debt and go to the best school you got into. And that's just bad advisement, and we need to change it.
Yeah, I got to tell you that we're paying on college loans right now. My wife is still paying on her college loan. My kids will still be paying on theirs. My daughter, I don't even want to think about it. But you know where we learned a lot of this was when my daughter was in college during COVID, and kids could not go to classes. Interestingly, the school pushed very, very hard to make sure those kids were in the dorm. And why is that? Because so many kids were saying, I don't want that I'm gonna take a couple of years off, and the schools couldn't survive it. So they pushed so hard to be in person, but not in person. So instead of doing your work remotely from your bedroom at home, they wanted you doing it remotely from your dorm room. There was money in that.
Yeah, and you can't really blame the universities.
No, I get it. Yeah.
Hang on, but the better money would be spent to adjust, and many universities are now offering hybrid. You need to work. You're the primary translator for your Hispanic family. Take courses, and by the way, the courses are recorded, so hey, I can work more hours, come home at 9 p.m., watch the course content, stop it, ask some questions, replay it. So there's some benefits that we learned, but there is predicted a huge drop off by 2025 expected in enrollment in four-year universities, and I say that's a good thing, because the universities need to understand their customer is the student, and they have failed that customer. They're much more focused on tenure and professors and research projects. No, your customer are our kids,
right?
More than half of whom you kick out without any regret or any consequences. You keep their grants and their loans, which they'll be paying off, as you mentioned, for years to come with no degree.
Yeah.
The American public needs to wake up and say, that's unacceptable.
Yeah. Okay, interesting stuff. And Dan, a lot of juniors right now are making a decision, and seniors getting ready to head off to whether it's school or who knows what. But there are opportunities. Man, we see the like, for instance, to become a union electrician, and they'll train you, they'll work with you. You can go out of high school. You're getting paid while you work on the certificate. And then when you're done, you have no college debt. You're making $50,000 a year. You have 2 weeks vacation. You have all of these benefits. And again, you're in your mid-20s and you don't have any college debt at all. There are real opportunities. And those jobs, by the way, are not just for boys. They're men and women, right? I mean, they're real opportunities.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. And in high school, what those kids are hearing more often than not is, oh, no, you got into this 4-year school. You got to go. Max your debt out. Don't worry about it. And that's just poor guidance rather than, hey, you're going to make 50+ thousand. We have kids in our scholarship program that a young man who's getting a welder certificate, he's got another year to go, but he works 20 hours a week at $35 an hour. You know?
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
Yep. I mean, that's the end goal, I guess. It should be.
Yes, it is.
Dan Hooper, thank you. Dan is the author of Fleece You, How American Universities Are Robbing Our Kids and Our Future, and is the executive director of Scholar Shot. And Dan, thank you so much for taking the time.
You bet. Thanks for getting this in the public dialogue.
All right. You have a great weekend. Thank you.
You too. Bye-bye.
Listen, no matter what you say to your kids, though, it's like, hey, I think you should do this. And this is what I learned because I made these mistakes. Do A, B, and C. Maybe that means going off to like MV for 2 years and then go on to your 4-year school. No matter what you tell your kids, they, for some reason, have a mind of their own.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's
your kids too? What, do they have an opinion on something?
It's unbelievable.
So can I just tell you funny? I don't say it's a funny story. I just find it interesting, and I'm kind of torn on this, but I will say I have in the family a couple of people who are extremely well-educated, very intelligent people, and they're great. I'm not saying anything bad about them, but they constantly tell me about, preparing Carter for college already. And, that's still 10, 12 years away. And, the savings part of it, I agree with. But it's like, he's got to be able to go to a good school because he's got to be able to have a good job. And I've said to them a few times, the landscape really seems to be changing here where there is more and more of a feeling of that when you go to a 4-year school. Really, you're signing on for a pile of debt, and hopefully you get a great degree. And again, it depends on what field you go into.
It completely, like you can't go to vocational school to be a pharmacist. Now, you could be a pharmacy assistant. There are other things you could do. You can't go to if you want to be a doctor, you're going to have to go off. You're going to spend a lot of money. But you also could be a physician's assistant and not have the same responsibility. There are a lot of options out there that I hope our guidance counselors are giving to our children. But it is a good idea probably to think it out early on.
It's funny to me because, again, they are very successful and very intelligent, and they're great family members, too. I'll throw that in also. But they are from the old school of, if you're not going to go to college, you might as well just drop out in 9th grade because the future goes nowhere from there. And it's like the landscape is changing quite a bit.
Well, you know what I think happened? And because if you think about it, I have one now in college and two that were really 10 years ahead of her. So and we were all in those meetings with guidance counselors and what the schools were. I just think we put such a push on becoming a lawyer, a doctor, going to how the importance of going to college and how important it was to get that 4-year degree. And I do agree with that. I do think you're better off with that 4-year degree, probably not the debt. But I think we pushed it so hard we forgot about all the vocational jobs. And all of a sudden we woke up one morning and we forgot we don't have any plumbers anymore. Who's going to be, Joe the welder just retired. We can't find welders now. And I think that we're an all or nothing society where instead of the guidance office promoting a mixture depending on the student and a mixture of all opportunities. Some kids are for college. Some kids maybe for a vocation. Instead, we pushed all in one direction. So now what are we going to do? Now we're going to push all in the other direction, vocation. And in another 20 years, you know what's going to happen? We don't have teachers. We don't have doctors. You got to go back to college.
Mm-hmm.
And, whatever, everything in moderation, right? And I wonder if we're giving the proper balance, or are we going all one way for 20 years and then now we got to go all the other way? We have too many welders. We don't have enough room for, you're going to go to school and you're going to get a job, but if you become a welder, you're not going to be able to find a job. Is that the conversation we're going to hear about in 20 years? Gotta wonder. Okay, 7:33. Coming up, we'll do Hobica's free money question of the day. I do have a couple of things that occurred. There is hope for humanity. And I do believe...
I don't know.
I think
you're wrong, Bill.
there is hope for humanity.
I think you're wrong.
And it came in the in the form of really someone doing something nice and trusting. And is that possible today? I'm here to tell you I witnessed it firsthand on Wednesday. I'll talk about that during my travels. And then I had a family member in a hospital, and I just got to tell you, I'm very disappointed. And I probably shouldn't talk about it, but I'm going to. So we'll do that after the free money question of the day. Stand by. 7:34. Davey, let's do it right now. What caller are we looking for? Who are we looking for right now? You can't stop me. You won't be able to stop me. Don't say a word. Just put your nose into the computer and let's keep plowing forward. Davey, we're looking for caller number what?
I don't know.
Oh, we can't. We have no phone lines.
Nope.
Yeah.
162. We'll take number 162.
All right. Let's see. Messages on the app or on, well, you don't want to do it on YouTube because you're giving your phone number to everybody. So if you have the app, messages on the app if you want to play the contest. We'll call you. All right? We'll pick one person from the app. So go to the app, give us your phone number and your name.
This, Bill.
And then we'll call you back. It's the only way you can communicate with us. Unless you're sending smoke signals, which we don't have windows here. We really can't see anything. Okay, and we'll pick somebody, and we'll do this contest, and hopefully give away $100 from Hobica. We'll do it next at WIBX. Also, comedian Luke Thayer coming in studio on WIBX.
Hi, I'm Max Carbone, sales manager at Power Sports Utica. We are currently overstocked on 2023 Ski-Doo models, and we are offering up to $2,000 off sticker plus a $500 gift card for anything in the store. Kawasaki KLR models have $1,000 in rebates as well, and we have all colors and trims available in stock and ready for delivery. Kawasaki KLX models have $400 in rebate and up to $1,500 off KX models. Come visit us at Power Sports Utica, Central New York's Four Seasons Toy Store.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
Holy Week is a time to reflect on Jesus Christ, his life, death, and resurrection. To consider our own lives today and renew our faith. It's a time for new beginnings. We can start with the Sacrament of Reconciliation on Monday, April 3rd. Most Catholic churches in the Diocese of Syracuse will be open to celebrate this sacrament from 4 to 7 p.m. It doesn't matter how long you've been away. Easter is a time to come home. The light is on for you.
If you have an IRA or 401k, please listen closely. My name is Jason Hansen. I'm a former CIA officer and New York Times bestselling author. Throughout my career, let's just say I've been in some hairy situations. And I believe right now the biggest threat facing Americans is they need to protect their wealth, which is exactly what I'm doing for my wife and 6 kids. And I believe the ultimate safe haven is physical gold and silver. You can protect your hard-earned retirement assets with a tax-free loophole that allows you to convert your retirement into physical gold and silver. The folks I use are Advantage Gold, and believe me, I've investigated the heck out of all types of people. Advantage Gold is the nation's highest-rated gold company. They have the best process, pricing, and service. If you want to get your free gold and silver investment kit, please contact Advantage Gold right now, and you'll see how easy it is to protect yourself with precious metals. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
Call 800-900-8000.
Are you considering buying an electric vehicle or a plug-in hybrid? Wouldn't it be nice to just fuel up at home with an EV charging station? Potentia is helping to make the convenience of charging easier for your home and your business. As a leader in green electrical projects, Potentia has completed hundreds of large sustainable commercial projects across New York State and are now getting into the residential market. No more stops at the gas station. Charge at home conveniently and economically. With New York State's zero emissions mandate by 2035, Potentia can help design, supply, even install residential and commercial EV charging systems at your home or your business. From permitting and design through the complete installation, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3 with a turnkey EV charging solution with various packages and options available. They guarantee your satisfaction with all their products and their workmanship. Visit Potentia at 4685 Middle Settlement Road, New Hartford. Give them a call at 315-765-6184 or view their website at potentiamanagement.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
All right, good morning, and we're without telephone lines here this morning, so it's almost ridiculous. And listen, comedian Luke Thayer is in. Do not leave the studio and go back to New York City and say, these guys up in upstate, you know, they didn't even have phone lines. They were holding their cell phones up to the microphones.
I figure that's just how you do it around here.
That's I don't want you to think that's how we do it. But it is how I'm doing it right now. Sue is in Whitesboro right now. Hello, Sue. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, let's try it again. Say good morning to everybody.
Good morning.
Okay, I've got you now. All right, Sue, you're going to have 7 seconds. And this is not an easy question, but it is. It's in the news, and it's one that if you guess correctly, which you may very well, you're going to automatically walk away with some cash. It's from the Hobeika Law Firm, Joseph and Andrew Hobeika, at 315-724-1600. Okay?
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Here is your question. 100 years ago tomorrow is the anniversary of the silent film called Safety First. Now, this is the movie where this legendary actor was hanging dangerously high above downtown L.A. from the face of the clock. You've seen it a million times. So the question for you is, who was that legendary silent film actor? Ready, go.
Charlie Chaplin?
Not that. Pick another one.
I was going to say Houdini.
I could think of only two, right? There's Charlie Chaplin and
Buster Keaton.
Buster Keaton. Okay, I can think of only 3. Harold Lloyd. Harold Lloyd is the actor.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would have never got that.
All right. Well, listen. You do know the scene, though, right? We've seen that a million times. Dangling from the clock. Looks like he's going to fall. Turns out I don't think he was only like 8 feet above the ground. So it was all fake like everything else. We're going to give you the Utica All-in-Fun, All-in-One Food and Fun card. That is a $25 gift card to Aquavino, Babes, 72 Tavern and Grill, Taylor and the Cook. You can purchase them over at the Adirondack Bank Center. We'll also give you a table for 6 at any show this weekend at Fat Cats Comedy Club. And it is featuring Luke Thayer, who's going to be hanging with us here this morning, along with other comedians all weekend long. Go to fatcatscomedyclub.com for details. Stand by. Davey is I'm going to give you my phone, Davey, and you take care of her. All right? Stay right here, okay, Sue?
Okay.
Okay,
right. Thanks.
Have a nice weekend.
Have a
You
good day.
too.
You too,
All
thanks.
right. Davey's going to get your information. We'll mail something to you.
So this has actually turned out to be a very beneficial trip upstate for Luke because
it's like a hilarity. It's ridiculous.
He's got a whole new segment, a whole new bit he's added to his routine. He's like, these upstate hicks, they do a radio show with no telecommunications.
Well-
and when they get someone on the phone, they just hold the phone up to the mic. You got to see it.
So actually, when you think about it, it's the opposite of that. So they've switched us over to this new phone line. It's not the old phone line. It's all computerized. So it's the VoIP, VoIP, voice over IP.
yeah.
And it keeps going down. So we have no phone line. So how else am I supposed to communicate with our audience? There's no other way.
They don't make it like they used to.
They don't.
I also want to know how old your audience is that the trivia question was a silent film actor.
It's a good question. Yeah.
You know,
it's a very
you
good question.
You said you've seen this commercial a million times. To be honest with you, I couldn't picture the commercial.
I didn't say commercial.
Well, it was an advertisement.
It's a scene. No, it's not an advertisement.
It's a scene.
It's a movie, man. It's a movie. It's a silent film.
You know how those are so popular now.
You know, it's one that you've seen. And I'll play along the music. If you see it, which sometime you will, you're like, oh, that's it. Yeah, I've seen that a million times. Here's. Okay, that doesn't help either, does it? There he is, dangling from the clock. Oh, no, I hope he doesn't fall. Okay, apparently
they
not.
actually would have people in the theaters playing the music.
That is
on
true.
An organ.
Yeah.
And you know what's amazing? We have a couple of old theaters.
I thought you were going to say listeners who remember.
No, well, Rick Lewis was in yesterday. Rick E. Lewis, excuse me. I got to make sure I put the E in there, from the Capitol Arts Complex in Rome. And when they do movies, they still have an organ and they still play along live. It's amazing. Yeah, I know.
I know.
This guy thought he got in a time machine
I
or
know.
something.
For our next caller, what's the most favorite dance of World War I?
That actually was a question a couple of weeks ago.
Was it?
But it was World War II. Still, though, it goes way back. You know.
That's funny.
All right, before we get to you, I want to get to me. Sorry. So I was traveling on Wednesday, and I stopped off to you want to talk about a throwback to the old days. I took the side route to Cooperstown. So I stopped off at the Cedarville Country Store. You may know where it is. It's where Route 51 meets that other road as you're heading off into the middle of nowhere. And I'm like, well, you know what? I haven't had anything to eat. Let me grab a little snack, and I'll grab a diet soda. And I walked in, and everything stopped. Everyone stopped and looked at whoever it was coming through the door. It just so happened to be me. So I realized, and there wasn't really a lot of opportunity there wasn't much food. They could have made me something, but I didn't want to hang around. So anyway, I'm like, well, I just stopped to get a Diet Pepsi, but it looks like, oh no, if you go in the back, there's a whole bunch of stuff in the cooler. So I go back and I go through. There was nothing I wanted to eat, but I grabbed a Diet Pepsi. As a matter of fact, it's this one right here, in fact, because I never ended up drinking it. So I go back up front, pull out my credit card. We don't take credit cards. Mm-hmm. There aren't a lot of places that don't take credit cards today. In fact, if you go to the carrier, the whatever it is,
JMA
Wireless Dome in Syracuse, there are places that will not accept cash. You can't spend cash, right, Davey? You couldn't buy a soda at the Dome,
right? And
to see a Syracuse game.
And they're doing it at the NBT Bank Stadium this year. There's going to be certain areas that are not going to be taking cash.
It's only it's only a credit card, but here there was no credit card. So what do you think happens? Here I am, all these old people sitting at the table, everybody's silent, and I'm like, I don't have any money. So you know what's going through their mind. What's going through my mind of what's going through their mind is, what kind of an idiot travels without any money in his pocket?
Right.
Well, that's where we are today, right? Mm-hmm. How much money do you have in your pocket?
U.S. currency or Confederate currency?
Okay,
it depends.
Right.
I'm trying to relate to your audience, the old audience.
Is it a wooden coin? Is it one of those wooden nickels?
Yeah.
But this is why I'm saying there's hope for humanity. I said, I hate to say this, but I have no money. Mm-hmm. So I said, well, here's the soda. No, don't worry about it. Are you going to be coming back through these parts? And I said, well, I will. So just bring me the money later. That's unheard of today. I realized it's a $2 soda, but it's like the old days when there'd be sweet corn out on the side of the road. It'd be like, on the honor system, you put your money in, and we trust that you're not going to cheat us. And I think people still cheat people.
Yeah, well, that's why all of those corn stands went out of business.
That is right.
They're not here anymore.
And so did the farms. They didn't make any money.
Yeah.
They all went to. But I didn't. She let me take it. Just come back and pay me.
Did you go back?
I will.
He's fixing to. Okay.
I'm fixing to. No,
I will.
I went back and I paid $5 for this $2 soda. So I'm like, you keep the change, thank you.
That's funny.
Later in the day, so I did go back, but I thought it was just kind of a nice thing.
Boy, you've got stories when you go back home yourself here now.
Yeah,
you should see it. You should see it upstate. They don't have cash registers. They have this honor system. It's amazing.
It is. It was like a page out of yesteryear.
That's cool.
The book of yesteryear. But that's the. Don't go there if you want a lot of food, because there's really not a lot of stuff in the store. But it's the old country store in Cedarville, New York, where I just thought that was kind of a nice.
It certainly was. I mean, I'm not making fun of them, but you talk about you can't trust or believe anything anymore. Well, they trust somebody, apparently, even if you're a stranger.
Luke, you must find it in your travels when you're going around the country, because you travel all over. And don't act like you're all big city, because you are probably in some comedy clubs that are out in the middle of nowhere.
I'm everywhere, up and down. I was born in a small farming town in Missouri and then moved to Indiana. So, and Indiana is not necessarily the most urban environment. Like, if you've seen Hoosiers, that's kind of why I grew up next to a cornfield. So
you can relate. You can relate to this.
Yeah. All of this, like even I'm picturing the place. I know the place that you went to because I've been to many of those places. The cool that you were talking about was one where you actually had to reach in through the ice and pull out that Diet Pepsi.
That is right.
The only food you can get is from Granny in the back. That's
right. And whatever she's making that day. It is. There's no menu on the wall.
No, it's whatever. They trust you to pay, and you trust the good Lord to survive that. Whatever she makes here. So.
That's right. And I made sure that I got back before they closed. Although there were no hours on the wall. It was sundown. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. There's no time. And we have short days during the winter months. There's not a lot of sun out there. So. So tell us about you beyond Indiana. So you're probably in New York now.
I do. You kind of have to move to one of the coasts if you're going to be in entertainment, which it's kind of funny even just going back home because we have a little accent in Indiana. I don't know if you guys have been through Indiana, but we kind of talk like this, a little low, a little slow. Right?
It's different than New York.
Oh, it's very different in New York. And so all my friends from high school, and then once I get in this voice, it's hard to get out of it because that's how I
can
grew
hear
up.
it. Yeah.
Everybody's got the gun rack in their pickup in the high school parking lot. I go back and they're always like, "Oh, look at Mr. Big City here, Hollywood. Look at them fancy clothes you wear. And where you get that? You get that at Rodeo Drive." I'm like, "That's the wrong coast. You're in the wrong city. You're in the wrong city." But they're my friends, so I was like, and I'm not a fancy guy. Like the clothes you're seeing, I'm like, I got this stuff at Target, and they're always like, "Oh, "Oh, you're shopping at Target now. Huh? Too good for the Walmarts like the rest of us."
That's funny.
And so, yeah, even like we're not a place of dreams. Indiana is not. So even like you guys were talking about college, it's like, you know, the first thing you gotta do is just not have debt. Like, but
it is.
You don't get debt, but then you can follow your dreams. But they always say stuff like, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life, and that's because nobody's hiring. That's why. Nobody's hiring what you love.
That is so true.
And so, yeah, that's what it is. And you end up being, you know, when I was saying I'm gonna go be a stand-up comedian in the big city, they're like, "Oh, hey, if you need a job, you know, we're hiring."
Yeah, what do you got to do that for? Right?
Yeah, you don't got to go nowhere. We'll teach you how to put on some lug nuts. That's fine.
Well, it is. When you're in upstate New York, so you know the difference between New York City and upstate New York. This is, you know, it's a completely different world.
New Yorkers know that difference. Indiana does not know that difference. They would not know
and most people in other states don't know that. When you say you're from New York, they automatically assume they would not know what it looks like to come up into farm country. But you went to college for free.
Free-ish.
For the most part.
For the most, I went to a state school. Almost got kicked out. Academic probation first semester. You know, played too much basketball. That's if you're in Indiana. That's your vocation.
That is what
your
you do.
vocation
Right?
is basketball.
I should have used that excuse when I got kicked out. I was playing basketball. What do you want me to do?
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. I want now I'm more concerned. Like, how did you get kicked out of school?
Yeah.
And of what school?
I didn't know.
Because I'm not guessing it was Harvard.
That's the first time I think we've heard you've been kicked out of school.
I don't. It's funny. I kind of just blurted that out. I don't think I've ever told that on the air. But
therapy time. Let's hear it.
You were. So did you not finish?
Correct. Yeah. And
you didn't finish.
I've never told you that.
No,
Not
I did
by
not
choice.
know that. I did not know.
Oh, so
I've always called you fellow associate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, at Herkimer I got through.
You did.
But
Okay.
when I went to Plattsburgh,
so you went on to a 4-year school.
yeah, and I don't know.
Good for you though, because it's cold up there.
Oh, it
Who
was
would
brutally
want? I
cold.
mean, you got kicked out on purpose.
Wait, you guys here say it's cold up there.
Yeah, well, there is an up there.
Yeah, not much more up there.
Well, it's called Canada.
Yeah, before you become a communist, I think.
right.
That's right.
Yeah. I'm telling you, though, if you think this is bad, it is another world up there.
It
and another
is.
5.5 hours just before the
Plattsburgh,
Canadian border.
Oswego is another really cold, cold school.
Just to go through Lake Placid. And,
But so's Herkimer. When you went to Herkimer, I mean, in the wintertime up on that hill, that wind blows. It's cold.
it does get really windy up there. So I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm still. First of all,
look, it was just it was my first time away from home. You know,
you partied,
girls and friends and parties and everything, and I didn't spend a whole ton of time in school, and I was under the. It's funny because the person I spoke with told me I was correct, but if the letter says that, that's what the letter says. I was told I had to take, I think, 2 semesters off before I was allowed to come back.
Oh, and
my grades.
You're still taking them off now.
I'm still taking them off.
Well,
I'll
the
show
problem
them.
the problem is you came back and radio will welcome you with open arms. In
Correct.
fact, right? And then once you get started, you get I don't need another 2 years of school. What do I need that for? I've got radio, and they pay really well until they didn't.
Apparently, all you need for a radio job is an iPhone.
Yeah, that accomplishes a lot. It really does.
But it was 5.5 hours one way, 5.5 hours back. So I had left all my stuff up there thinking I was going back the next semester. Got a letter that said I was on a probationary period. I called and I said, but your policy is if it's your first semester, they can't give you the boot or put you on. And they said, yes, that's our policy, but if that's what the letter says, that's what the letter says. So I had to drive 5.5 hours up there
to get your
just
stuff.
to get all my stuff. On the way back, Smitty, George called, the news director at the time, and do you remember Angela Parados?
Yes.
She quit that day. On my way back in my
there's an
12-hour marathon on the road, and I was like, well, I can definitely cover you for the next couple of weeks. I know that. And
all right.
I was already working here part-time, but that was my first full-time in radio there.
On the weekends you were.
On the weekends, yeah. Well, that's how it all starts in radio. It used to anyway. Now, no experience. We'll just put you on afternoon drive. That's what we do. Okay, you know what I forgot to tell? I said I had a negative story too. So I had the positive, which was the woman at the Cedarville Country Store.
Oh, that was the positive one.
And then there's the negative story. You want to hear the negative?
Yeah.
All right. I'm not going to say where, but it just so happened we were at and it's out of the valley. We have a family member who had to have an operation in a hospital. So that's why I was off yesterday. And all I can tell you is I spent a week in St. Yves. And when I rang the bell, you ring that little bell, The nurse was in the room immediately. When it was you couldn't get sleep because there were people in the room constantly checking your blood pressure, making sure your IV was in right or whatever. And my wife had the same experience. She was recently in a Utica hospital. I don't know if it was St. Luke's or St. E's. Anyway, but in this case, I'm telling you, you couldn't get anybody to come. It was unbelievable. You ring the bell, 2 hours later, you might get a nurse to come in.
Goodness.
All through the entire stay. It was terrible. I mean, everyone was nice. It was clean. It was done really well. But you couldn't get anybody to get in there. And if you didn't call on someone, they didn't just show up. The person who was in the hospital, they had a pitcher of water. It was never changed from the first time they went into the hospital. So I know that people always give St. E's or St. Luke's here a tough time, and it's tough in the ER. It is. The ER is not a great place to be right now. But I'm telling you, one thing that you get is those nurses are there for you every step of the way. When I was spending a week in the hospital, if it wasn't for the nurses, I wouldn't have made it through all of that. And I can just tell you, there are other places when you think going out of town is the answer. I'm telling you, based on our experience, it is not. So that's my little story.
Interesting.
So it's kind of a positive.
Crazy busy there that they were so busy they just couldn't.
It was busy, but no busier than any other hospital
All
scenario.
hospitals are busy.
Yeah, they're busy. It's like, hello. It's like, well, I'm sorry we're busy today. We can't get to you. You can't do that. And you're by the way, you're wired to the bed basically, right? You can't get out of bed to help yourself. So if there isn't someone there when you ring that bell, you'd expect to have someone. 2 hours, and the bell was rung because they had just gone through an operation and they needed more medicine. They were in a lot of pain. 2 hours for someone to come in.
That's incredible.
And it was like that the whole day. So if if you don't have family members there to help you, and you're on your own, boy, you're really on your own. I was really disappointed in the way in the treatment. Everybody was wonderful. There just weren't a lot of them. And maybe they're having the same problem the rest of us are having. You can't hire people. It's hard to find people to work today. Nobody wants to work. But I won't mention the place. I understand, but it was rough. So be careful. You're criticizing what you have in your own backyard. You will be surprised how much better we probably have it than you think.
My big takeaway from that story is that you said that your wife had a procedure, but you couldn't remember what hospital. And that was the takeaway I got.
It was here. It was in town.
He's like, I don't know. It was one of these hospitals here in town.
That was just her. Yeah. I mean, I got a break. We have news coming up straight at the top of the hour. WIBX Utica Rome. It's 8 o'clock.
It's an attack on our country. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's former President Trump's reaction on social media to being indicted in New York City, blaming radical left-wing monsters. His attorney, Joe Tacopino, tells Fox.
There is no one that could ever convince me that this man was not just charged to affect the elections.
Tacopino also says he's been told the former president could face 34 separate charges. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham also tells Fox's Hannity.
We're going to fight back at the ballot box. We're not going to give in. How does this end, Sean? Trump wins in court, and he wins the election.
The former president may surrender next week to face the charges that may be related to allegations of falsifying records related to a hush money payment ex-Trump lawyer Michael Cohen made before the 2016 election to keep porn star Stormy Daniels quiet about an alleged affair and if that broke campaign finance laws.
Her attorney, Clark Brewster, said the indictment is no cause for joy, but urged that justice prevail in the case. Former Trump attorney and fixer Michael Cohen's attorney, Lanny Davis, focused on his client, saying he was proud Cohen chose to speak truth to power.
Fox's Gernal Scott. All police officers in New York City told to report for duty today to deal with any possible unrest related to the indictment. There were big protests in Nashville. That's from inside the state capitol, where they demanded stricter gun laws after Monday's school shooting.
They tried to take over the House chamber. Their goal was to have a sit-in to allow those individuals to rush in. We had state troopers there, fortunately, that held them back.
Republican State House Speaker Cameron Sexton. 911 calls have been released from inside the Christian Nashville school as it was being shot up.
Sounds like somebody's shooting guns.
Okay, you're still hearing shot. You're still hearing shots.
Police killed the shooter after 3 students and 3 adults were murdered. Pope Francis is apparently feeling better, battling bronchitis. The Vatican says he's expected to get out of a hospital tomorrow. America's listening to Fox News.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
We have some sunshine and 23 degrees. WIBX News Time is 8:03. This news update brought to you by Baird Private Wealth Management, a strong financial partner for 100 years. Visit bairdoffices.com/Utica. Well, several schools across New York State were the victim of swatting yesterday, including 2 here in the Mohawk Valley, Utica's Proctor High School and Rome Free Academy in the city of Rome. It happened just after 10 a.m. yesterday. There were reports of either shots fired or an active shooter on both campuses. The police officers from each city determined that was not the case after they searched the schools. Turns out there were several schools in New York, including in the Capital Region in Syracuse yesterday, that were victims of the same fake shots fired phone calls. The investigation into the parties responsible is ongoing. A Utica woman facing an assault and endangering charge after she allegedly hit 2 young children with electrical cords multiple times on different occasions. That's according to Utica police, who say the investigation also led to 5 children being removed from the home. In announcing the arrest, police said an initial complaint was made to CPS. While investigating, officials saw visible swelling and contusions on 2 kids, ages 5 and 9. That prompted a decision to immediately remove them from the home along with 3 other kids. Police say Sherry Roman, a 25-year-old from Utica, faces 2 charges of assault and 2 charges of endangering the welfare of a child. If you're looking to run the Boilermaker 15 or 5K this year, time is running out to do so. Organizers say there's still a limited number of spots left for both, but that about 100 people are signing up each day. This year's Boilermaker is set for Sunday, July 9th. More information, or you can register online at Boilermaker.com. Lawmakers heading back to the state capitol today as time continues to tick away to passing a state budget on time. They have until midnight to reach an agreement, but that's unlikely to happen. The main issue still needing to be worked out: affordable housing, changes to the state's bail reform laws, and a minimum wage increase. Last year's budget ended up being 9 days late. If today's deadline is missed, an emergency spending plan must be passed by the end of the day Monday. That would ensure state workers are still getting paid. And speaking of getting paid, Bill, no one has won either the Mega Millions or Powerball in a while, and now both combined jackpots have reached $502 million. The prize up for grabs for Mega Millions tonight is $355 million. Whoever's lucky enough to win Powerball tomorrow will get about $150 million. The cost for a ticket to play each game is $2. Both drawings are streamed online.
You know, I have numbers that I play. I don't ever use the quick pick. I always play the same numbers. So the problem with that is you have this feeling that if you don't play your numbers,
right,
they're going to come in. And this week I did not play any of the Lotto numbers or Mega Millions.
You're not going to tell me your numbers came in. Do not say that your numbers
I am
came
here
in.
to tell you that I won't look. I will not look at the numbers because of that. Because I would. Can you imagine if your numbers came in and you didn't play them? You'd have to. What would you do? I mean, because you know those numbers are never coming in again.
Correct.
Right? Yeah. So I won't look. I don't know.
I don't blame you.
I know nothing.
Well, speaking of numbers coming in, some increased numbers here. If you look at the forecast and the highs over the next week or so, here's Eyewitness News Chief Meteorologist Craig Flint.
I'm Eyewitness News Chief Meteorologist Craig Flint in the WIBX Weather Center. Periods of rain and wet snow over higher elevations in the Adirondacks. Temperatures by this evening near 50. Showers likely tonight. Breezy, mild upper 40s to near 50. Rain, thundery downpours early Saturday, then windy and warm with another round of scattered downpours and locally strong storms by afternoon. High 65. For more on your local forecast, tune to Eyewitness News at 6 on WUTR. I'm meteorologist Craig Flint on WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM.
Some sunshine and 26 at 8:07. All right, checking sports, day one of the marathon Major League Baseball season. Both the Mets and Yankees getting wins yesterday. A 5-0 shutout victory for the Yankees, and the Mets picked up a 5-3 victory on the road against the Marlins yesterday. Mets got some bad news, though, before the season even started. Veteran right-hander Justin Verlander on the injured list with a low-grade muscle strain near his pitching shoulder. Verlander will continue to throw at moderate intensity and will be reevaluated in the next week. 4 schools battling in Houston this weekend in the Final Four. 5th seed San Diego State takes on 9th-seeded Florida Atlantic. On the other side, it's 4-seed UConn against number 5-seed Miami. 3 of those 4 teams have never been to a Final Four in program history. Alabama's top freshman will not return for another season in Tuscaloosa. Forward Brandon Miller entering the 2023 NBA Draft. He's considered to be the top college prospect in the class and is challenging G League Ignite guard Scott Henderson for who will be the second overall pick behind number 1 projected pick, Victor Wembanyama.
Okay.
So apparently there's...
Where's Victor from?
I don't know. The 20-year-old was at the center. Of course, Brandon Miller is the 20-year-old I'm talking about, was at the center of controversy in his only season with Alabama.
Okay.
He was mentioned in a court testimony, in court testimony involving a capital murder case of a former Alabama player, Darius Miles, who was charged in the fatal shooting of a 23-year-old man back in January. Hockey, the Islanders look to extend their winning streak to 3 games. New York takes on the Lightning tomorrow night in Tampa. The Devils held off the Rangers last night, a final of 2-1. The Jets, it says the Jets appear to be on the verge of another win during free agency. I still think they're waiting to finalize that first win. ESPN says Gang Green is the most likely team to land Odell Beckham Jr. Beckham recently attended the NFL owners' meetings in Arizona and had informal discussions with a few teams, including the Jets. But the deal to bring Aaron Rodgers to the Jets still hasn't been finalized yet.
I can't believe that's going on and on. You know, one of his requests was Odell Beckham Jr. And a couple of other players, right? That he's looking for.
Yeah, he's got a wish
Davey,
list.
is that it's Beckham and who else?
For what?
Oh, if somebody got your ear in there, you tell him he can't have your ear because you're not listening. You don't know what we're talking about.
I heard about Odell Beckham.
You did? What were we talking about?
About choosing the Jets.
Yes, that's right. Not even close. I mean, close. You're close. You're close. Anyway, the wherever we were, I just think this is going on forever.
It's kind of wild how long it's gone on without a deal being finalized. The Utica Comets this weekend, 2 at home, 1 on the road. They'll host Rochester at the Adirondack Bank Center tonight. On the road at Rochester tomorrow, and then they come back Sunday to host the Syracuse Crunch.
So we were talking about this Gwyneth Paltrow trial that was going on. It was quite kind of entertaining to watch. You could see clips of it. It was all broadcast. You could watch it on YouTube. Anyway, yesterday, Paltrow was found not liable in the Utah civil trial. And a retired optimist. I'm sorry, he was an optimist. I think I can win a lot of money here.
I'm going to win.
A retired optimist.
A retired.
Now he's a pessimist.
Okay. I love it. A retired optometrist is what he was. And anyway, Terry Sanderson alleged that she had crashed into him on a Utah ski slope in 2016, and the verdict came down yesterday. Here it is. And the verdict came down yesterday.
Has the jury reached a verdict?
Was Gwyneth Paltrow at fault? No. Was Terry Sanderson at fault? Yes. Did Terry Sanderson's fault cause Gwyneth Paltrow's harm? Yes. What % of the fault do you assign to Terry Sanderson? 100%.
Wow.
Damages. What amount fairly compensates Gwyneth Paltrow for economic damages? $1.
I love it.
What state was that in?
Utah.
Boy, they play Mad Libs with their court proceedings, don't they?
Well,
Blank was
right.
responsible for the skiing accident. Blank should be awarded in this case.
In most cases, they do it that way, but that's kind of a little bit of a slightly different version of it. But it is interesting to watch, and I love the $1, but it's $1 plus legal fees, and that could be probably. I mean, what do you think she spent on her legal team? $100,000, couple
at least,
$100,000,
couple $100,000 at least,
probably.
yeah.
Anyway, when she was walking out of the courtroom, she dipped over to the guy, to the optimist. And she got into his ear and she said something to him. And he was on Extra, getting the last minute of his 15 minutes of fame. And Sanderson told Extra what she said to him as she was exiting the courtroom. And apparently she said, "I wish you well. I wish you well."
Now give me that $1.
That's right. I want my $1 and legal fees. Pretty wild right there. He commented that it was very kind of her to say that. I think she was being sarcastic.
Yeah, I'm sure she was sincere. Apparently he thinks so.
I don't think she was. Anyway, that ends yesterday.
See you on the slopes.
Yeah, right.
That would have been a better line. That would have been a better line. Yep. Or if she'd have whispered in his ear, "I lied about everything.
Yeah.
I was just acting." River Hills Properties is the fastest growing real estate company here in central New York, and it's all about the extra services. Andrew was on the radio yesterday, and every time I tuned in, I heard him talking about his real estate career. It's his new career.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, he went from being here with us to part-time real estate agent with River Hills Properties, and today it's really his life, and I think he's doing an incredible job. But Andrew, would you say, is all in on the River Hills way of selling a home?
Yes. In fact, and he had said this when he was going through the process, that he wasn't trained the way other people do it, or, you kind of learn some maybe shortcuts or mistakes. Right. He was trained under, their process, their program, how they do it, and they have some unique things that other real estate companies around here don't do.
And it's all about services provided. We know because we know Andrew. In one case, there was a woman who was selling a home, but in order to have the deal go through, repairs had to be made to her deck.
Yes.
You remember this?
Yes.
And I don't think the woman could afford to have the repairs done. So Andrew went out and did the repair. I mean, that's how far they're willing to go to help people. That's that's Andrew and the River Hills way, and it's probably River Hills on steroids, but that's what you get. And you talk about relieving the stress. It's even beyond that. It's helping you from step one, the very beginning, till the very end when the house closes. They provide every prospective buyer with the book. It's 40 to 100 pages filled with everything there is to know about the home. It is an amazing tool if you're considering buying a home. So it's a different way of selling a home. It's all about servicing the clients from beginning to end and lowering the stress level. Located in Barneville, Little Falls, and Utica, RiverHillsPropertiesLLC.com. Call 315-896-1009. Serving all of upstate New York. Nobody sells homes like River Hills Properties.
Are you ready to make the most important decision for your child's future? Some are easy, some are not. Some make all the difference, like choosing Notre Dame schools. Offering grades pre-K through 12, your child will be ready to learn and thrive in a challenging atmosphere surrounded by great teachers and the most current technology. Notre Dame offers small class sizes, high academic standards, and spiritual fulfillment. At Notre Dame, we foster an environment of diversity and community. Students feel supported and more confident in achieving their goals. Our students learn from each other and are challenged to grow and develop their innate talents. Notre Dame is faith-based, but everyone is welcome. If you have higher expectations for your child, Notre Dame offers a higher level experience. If you're ready to launch your child's future into the most successful career path and build the next generation of leaders, call today for a tour or visit NotreDameUtica.org. Notre Dame schools ready to learn, destined to lead.
Today on Hey Culligan's Smart Home, Smarter Water Softener, here's Kevin.
Hey Culligan, can a smart water softener lift those heavy salt bags for me?
Kevin, it can. Wait, it can?
Yep, the smart high-efficiency water softener from Culligan can alert your dealer when the salt needs to be replaced, and they'll do it for you, so your water stays soft and you stay away from lifting the bags.
I mean, I could lift them if I wanted.
No judgment here, Kevin. We're happy to do it, and we're already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test with the local Culligan water expert at Culligan.com.
Individual rates, coverage offerings, and savings may vary. Subject to terms and conditions. Not available in all areas. Actual Pi customer.
The other workers' comp insurance company, they were going to reclassify our business, and then they were going to charge me $50,000.
Meet Natalie, owner of the carpentry shop. Shocked by an unexpected bill, she knew it was time to switch her workers' comp provider. That's when she found Pi Insurance.
When we got the quote back from Pi, it was a sigh of relief. They put us in a policy where we fit.
Is your small business overpaying for workers' comp insurance? See how much you could save at ineedpi.com. Plus, when you sign up for pay-as-you-go billing, your premium is based on your actual payroll, not an estimate. So your workers' comp audit experience is simplified.
I'm grateful that there's a company out there that's willing to insure us little guys because every dollar counts.
With Pi Insurance, you get pricing and coverage made for small businesses. What are you waiting for? Ask your agent for Pi or get a quote in 3 minutes at ineedpi.com. That's ineedpie.com.
I can't take this kitchen any longer. Carl, we need to start looking for a new house.
Honey, you know the housing market is tight. It's going to be next to impossible to find something that we like.
I know, but this kitchen has to go.
Hey, what about a home equity loan from Adirondack Bank? We can turn the equity from our home into cash to renovate, just the way you want.
Renovate?
Adirondack Bank has competitive rates, and they've been a trusted community bank for decades.
A new kitchen. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah.
Then, of course, we would need new furniture, and we could repair the deck, even add a pool, and take that trip to Italy that we've always talked about.
Whoa, slow down, honey. Let's go talk to the experts at Adirondack Bank about that home equity loan. Then we can decide where to start.
I've always wanted to add on a craft room, and our bathroom needs a facelift.
Don't move. Improve. Stop into your local Adirondack Bank branch for more information on a home equity loan or visit adirondackbank.com. Bank local with Adirondack Bank, your hometown community bank. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Refresh and renew your home this spring with Little Falls Lumber. They're fully stocked with secondary grade metal in all colors and 12-foot lengths. An affordable option for fixing utility sheds, roofs, or garages. Looking for lumber and tired of the warped pieces from the big box stores? Then go to Little Falls Lumber, where they stock only premium grade lumber. Stop in to one of their 3 convenient locations: Little Falls, Syracuse, and Schenectady. Little Falls Lumber, helping you refresh and renew this spring. Call 315-823-2470 or visit littlefallslumber.com.
Holy Week is a time to reflect on Jesus Christ, his life, death, and resurrection, to consider our own lives today and renew our faith. It's a time for new beginnings. We can start with the Sacrament of Reconciliation on Monday, April 3rd. Most Catholic churches in the Diocese of Syracuse will be open to celebrate this sacrament from 4 to 7 p.m. It doesn't matter how long you've been away. Easter is a time to come home. The light is on for you.
How do you sum up 70 years in 30 seconds? The Community Foundation of Herkimer and Oneida counties has helped nonprofit groups put more than $110 million donor dollars to work over the last 7 decades. Programs, services, people, places, progress. Our 30 seconds are about up, but we're just getting started. Learn more at foundationhoc.org and help us work toward a vibrant region with opportunity for all.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
Hey, the official coffee of the Keeler in the Morning radio program is from Daylight Donuts in New Hartford. The lattes, as Manaski has tasted, it's like the Almond Joy latte, kind of like a liquid Almond Joy candy bar. It is so good. There's the pumpkin lattes. Try the pistachio latte. Just delicious. They have over 14 flavors to try. Fresh donuts, fresh bagels every single day. And with Easter coming up, are you ready? They're getting ready to serve up their snowflake rolls. And you have to sign up for those for Easter dinner. So you put your name in. They'll have them ready for you Easter weekend for your Easter dinner. You must do it either inside or from the drive-thru at Daylight Donuts in the village of New Hartford. Bill Morehouse this morning. You've not heard about this kid. First pick in the NBA draft, 7'4", handles the ball like a point guard, shoots 50% from 3, can post you up all day long. He is a mythical creature.
Incredible. I to be honest with you, I'm not up to speed on him, and I apologize because Luke, before he headed out, said, it's Scoot Henderson, you dummy, not Scott Henderson.
And, Davey, what about this 21-year-old shortstop the Yankees have being compared to Derek Jeter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like him.
You
What
like
does
him.
the county
Boy.
executive think about him? He's a big Yankee
That
fan.
is true. What? I'm getting choked up. What do you think of him?
Seemed really poised. Saw his interview after the game yesterday, too. He was really, grounded. I mean, and all the indications about this kid is that he's another one of the real things. So we have to wait and see. Looked really smooth yesterday. I mean, made some great plays. I mean, didn't get a hit. He was 0 for 2. He walked once, but
he only played
good.
He went right to AAA and only played
22 games. I think they said. But you got to give these kids a chance. I think sometimes they hang on to them too long.
Right.
Down below.
Yep.
Minors or whatever.
There's a story about him. He's number 11, and it used to be Brett Gardner's number. Of course, Gardner doesn't play anymore. That was last year. Or did he?
Year
2 years
before.
ago. 2 years ago. Yeah. But so he called Brett Gardner and was like, "Hey, man, I like number 11. Is it okay if I have your number?" And it's not like it's a retired number.
Right.
Brett Gardner was like a working man's, outfielder.
Yeah.
But he wasn't some Yankee legend. I mean, I know a lot of Yankee fans love him, but he's not like some Yankee record holder. And
but he was
they were
there.
Showed a lot of respect.
He's been there throughout his career, Brett Gardner has.
Wouldn't it be something if Gardner was like, "Yeah, I don't think so." Then what would have happened? It'd be like, "Well, I was just trying to ask you. I'm still going to use it."
Yeah, and there was a lot of talk about fans and former players were were really impressed with that move.
Yeah.
So
all right. County Executive Anthony Vicente, good morning.
Good morning.
State of the County is coming up next week. Right?
Next Wednesday.
Yeah. You want to give us a preview? Preview the bombs. I always love a good bomb throwing.
I don't know if there's any bombs. Everybody likes bombs. There may be a couple little surprises in there, or a couple little.
All right. At least we know there will be a few surprises.
Yeah, it's really about continuing and really sustaining. We've built a great foundation, but we've also built a lot of infrastructure and pieces that we talked about. I go back to my very first State of the County address, and I look at the county then, and I think you see a different county today in so many different ways, and it's about talking about that, but also about now you can't reach a point, and I think in history some communities, I'm not saying ours, but there's markings of things in the past that you reach a point and then you say, "Oh, all right, we're done here," and you sit back and then things fall apart or things the economy tends to move around. So I think our goal is keeping the momentum and not letting up. It's like a ball game. I mean, it's really keep it going and keep the line moving, as the announcers say, and with the lineup, and that's what we're going to talk about I'm going to talk about on Wednesday.
So is this because really when it was really incredible last weekend to drive into Utica up in that area of the auditorium and the Nexus Center and to see just so much activity. I mean, cars all over the place. You could see the glow inside the Nexus Center, so you could see the people inside. I mean, all of what was hoped has come to fruition over there.
Well, and I think, also being there, and I wasn't at the game or at Nexus Saturday night, but I was downtown at dinner. Actually at Ocean Blue, and so it's at the time that all these things are going on, and all these restaurants are full at that time.
Yeah.
So think about that in addition to what's taking place in those, in the arena, in Nexus and in the Odd. There was a game that night.
Yeah.
A big, they're all big games, but there was a game. There was Nexus.
It was packed. Yeah,
and
both were packed.
And downtown was busy. The point there is, what else do we need? What else do we have to fit in there?
Yeah.
We've got a couple little, ideas of how to do that.
And I got to say, I was earlier just talking a little bit about an experience we had with an out of town hospital, and comparing it to our experience at MVHS. And I got to say, it's all about the nursing staff. Here they are when you're you're vulnerable when you're in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so easy for us to say, oh, boy, it's tough. Well, I say go. There are places you can go where it really is tough. We're pretty lucky here, and that's going to carry over to the new hospital in the fall. That's going to be pretty exciting to see that transformation.
It is, and I think the question is why did we build all these things, and what for what purpose? And obviously you need a hospital, you need you need good health care, but you need even better health care today, and there's because there's great demands, and because people expect more. I think that's the challenge. Sometimes it's a little unfair because of what these workers and the hospitals deal with a lot. It's like our every first responder and anybody that has to deal with emergencies. So, the demands are high, but giving them the tools and the facility they need so that they can do a better job is just as important as getting quality people.
Right now in New York, they're battling it out, or in Albany, I should say, they're battling it out over the upcoming budget.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, they'll get done on time by midnight tonight. Probably not.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I mean, at
not.
least what I'm hearing. I've talked to.
There are some big issues right now. What are your thoughts on the key issues?
Well, the key issues for us on the county end is what they do with, and I know it doesn't get a lot of play, but Medicaid is always the catch-all in county budgets because it's the biggest piece that we pay that we don't have any say in. And I spoke of this that there's federal money that was passed on in terms of Medicaid relief over the last several years, which the state has held on to and continues to hold on to, and has said, and the governor has said has put in her budget that she's going to use that money that belongs to us in the county levels for increased Medicaid rates and different things, increase in the providers' percentages and what have you. I mean, that's all well and good, but not at the expense of local taxpayers, of which that money belongs to us. So I was on the phone again with NYSAC yesterday and back and forth, and I talked to the senator, to Joe, and I've talked to Assemblywoman Mary Ann, and keep pushing that. There's such tug on this about and the wild card is bail. If the word is if she's not getting bail reform, she's not budging on anything else. They don't want to do bail reform on the assembly side, so they're not willing to do anything else. And I don't think you're going to, at least all indications, I don't think you'll see a budget tomorrow, which is the first, tonight or even close by. And as they get into next week, with then you have Passover, you have Easter and everything.
Could be a couple of weeks.
It could be a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be shocked if they get this wrapped up in the next 3 or 4 days. And quite frankly, if they do get it wrapped up in the next 3 or 4 days, it's not going to be good for anybody.
Because it's going to be
because it's not going to have
get it done.
It's not going to have any of the pieces that we need. But the Medicaid hit is a real problem for us this year because for all counties, and it's a $7 million hit. Not just in what they owe us, but what the rates and what the increase would be over, going forward. And those are that was supposed to be, that's relief that was provided by the federal government that they're holding back.
Yeah.
And look, we can't say enough about bail reform. I mean, you're hearing it, every day. The sheriff was talking about it again the other day. The DA, everybody. But between those two and then the other initiatives are crazy. The housing pieces. You talk every day and hear about housing and about the housing market and about what people are building and need to do. And it's not a good proposal at all. And it really it does take away home rule in terms of zoning and in cities, towns, villages. It and then the whole solar array piece. There's so many different things that the state is looking to.
Well,
over control.
Talk about the proposal of minimum wage. I mean, we've just gone through minimum wage increase, and they're already talking about 20. What is it?
25.
Small business will have a difficult time with that.
Small business will have a terrible time with that, and they already are. I mean, because of what
they're trying
especially coming out of the everybody knows coming out of the pandemic, where the big question is where did all the workers go? Now the unemployment rate is, I saw the lowest it's been. It's like 3. It could be off, so 3.2 or 3.4 in the Mohawk Valley, which, there are jobs out there if you want them.
A lot of jobs.
A lot of jobs,
yeah.
and no one's taking them. And the ones that they are taking are paying them. We had this argument during the pandemic. They were making enough. It's enough. In my world of growing up, it was always, how did you better yourself to keep making more and do more?
Right.
So that's a little change today. But the minimum wage, is what. And you can't get it through the legislators that are pushing this and the governor, is the ripple effect it has across business. It's one thing for small business, but then it changes salaries across the board because, there's a separation piece of qualifications of part-time to full-time.
Well, now when you think about it, you're talking about, where was it before where we got to $15? We were like $8 an hour.
Right. Before they started this step process where they went up every year for
and I know
4 or 5 years.
this will be staggered as well, but by the another 4 or 5 years they want it to be 21, 25.
Well, I remember I can date myself, I'm the older guy in the room, and high school. I remember when working in the grocery store when we went from $2.10 to $2.35. We thought an hour. We thought we just died and went to heaven, and we were making, a 25-cent increase in the minimum wage was glorious. I mean, it was great.
You touched on it a little bit here, and I do think it sounds great to have a $21 minimum wage, and I'm not against raising the minimum wage, but I just think has to be a balance. You started to touch on this, the cost for businesses, and I just think I know I'm going back a couple of years, like 4 or 5 years, but if you were making $21.25 an hour and minimum wage was $8 or $10, right? You're like, wow, that's not terrible. I can pay my bills. I'm doing all right. But then when they raise minimum wage to what you're making, now you are a bottom of the basement employee.
Right.
You are closer to poverty than you are to middle class or being independent. I just think that the legislature overlooks that. You are bringing the middle class closer to the bottom of the barrel, not to the top.
But in my world, I mean, we have unions. We have
so you're
unions. When that minimum wage moves to $20, to your point,
you're going to have to give everybody a raise.
And if Bill is doing whatever, making $23 an hour, and somebody now has to make $20 that was making 12 or 13.
Yeah, I was $8. I was $8 an hour more than
now.
I want to remain there.
Point. And the bargaining units and anybody's going to come in and say, time out here.
And technically,
everybody's got to move.
And technically, it should.
It should,
because this is supposed to be based on inflation. And if you're living and you're making $40 an hour, or you're making $25 an hour, whatever it is. Your experience is the same inflation that everybody else is experiencing. This is where this is causing problems. It's also coming at a time where employers are already making. Just look at the bonuses that have been offered out there to hire people. The higher wages. Companies are already paying more in order to attract employees. Why not just let the market determine the rate?
They are, and even with that, I mean, people are still not taking some of those jobs. That's the crazy thing about it. The incentive of, $1,000 signing bonus, $3,000 signing bonus, or whatever. Yeah. When I was on with you a couple of weeks ago, you brought up the distribution center in Johnstown, I think it was, and $30 an hour. Advertising. And they're doing
for
that
a distribution
center. They know
$30 an hour,
and they're doing that because they know, quite frankly, if they advertise at 21 or 22,
that's not going to get anybody.
They're going to say, I'll go. I'll stay where I am, or I'll.
And the fact is that people don't think about it. It costs a lot of money to train people, and retaining them, you would rather retain them because to have to hire someone new and train them it's expensive.
Well, and the thing with that signing bonus is, is guaranteeing that, what's the time frame. So if you give them a signing bonus, and we've talked about this on incentives on our end or stipends or whatever, because we're struggling like everybody else hiring. But then the question is, so if I do that, or if I incentivize someone, and we talked about this with corrections, to try and get more people in, because we're still, even with a new contract, we're still struggling to find employees.
Yeah.
So, if you did an incentive, but what's the guarantee though? And what do you have to tie them to? 3 years, 5 years? And then if something happens and they don't do it, then what do you do? How do you go back and get that money back or get the return on that investment? It's a real catch, and for private business, it's a greater struggle, and family businesses that still have to rely on on part-time help. What do they do now? I mean, now they're going to be shorter.
What will radio do?
Yeah,
radio will have to be giving raises all over the place.
And I not only that, but I almost think there comes a point, there's a balance, there comes a point where it's too much, where it starts to, they say they're doing this in a reaction to inflation, but at some point it causes inflation. If the grocery store is paying their lowest level employee $21 an hour to stock the eggs, how much do the eggs cost?
Right.
When you're paying the guy at the fast food restaurant $21 an hour, there's no more $2 sandwiches, right? They're $5 sandwiches.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I know those are anecdotal stories, but I just think.
Well, and then you got to look at
yourself.
Whether it's you talked when we started about hospitals and healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
So now what do you pay? What do you pay an LPN? What do you pay an RN? In terms of that, if the hourly rate has been moved on the minimum side, to $20, what do you pay them? And how do you keep them? So a lot of questions. It really is. I mean, it's unfortunate to say that the state has moved in such a diverse direction, especially favoring. It is favoring and controlled completely downstate. It's we've always talked about that. I don't think we've ever seen, at least in my time in government, that slanted and that much, influenced by that.
I wasn't here. You had Hennessy yesterday?
No.
Oh, you didn't? I thought you had him yesterday. So.
No.
But in talking with Wolfspeed the other day, based on comments that Mike had made about Wolfspeed before, they say they're at 350 jobs now, and they've hit that 350 mark. And that their goal within the next 4 or 5 years is to ramp up to a total of 600 jobs. And these seem to be, for the most part, really well-paying jobs. Talk about that a bit. And I know your opponent has, I believe he's going to be your opponent. We'll find out after this weekend. Has questioned some of that up there in Marcy.
Yeah, I mean, as I said before, Wolfspeed is a phenomenal company and Fortune 500 company. I mean, I don't think they're going to lie to us about how many people they have working, at a plant in which they've invested equally at them. I mean, obviously more than even the state did in terms of that, and those things are tied to things. But we the real point here is they're in a marketplace now that chips are desperately needed. They're producing them. They need more people, and the concept of that is and I think Margaret said it on the air that day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 80% of those jobs are technical and specialized jobs in which it's I don't know, I mean $70,000-$80,000 to start.
Yeah,
and moving through there, and I even though on the financial end, on their back office operations, it's still considerably high paying. Danfoss is right across the road, down on the campus, doing the same thing. They've ramped up to, I forgot what they're at, 150 or whatever they're at now, and so you're building this this system. And with Micron coming, I was on the phone with Onondaga yesterday talking about some of that and what's happening on that end. I mean, you're going to see more of the demand for these jobs. So Wolfspeed has to remain competitive, and they are, and they're building. So look, I'm not there's, as I said, we can debate a lot of things, but I think questioning. Businesses, to this at this time, especially when the numbers are really there, what's their point in lying to?
Right.
I mean, why would that? I mean, why don't we believe anybody anymore? I think that's part of.
Well, I think there does come that point where you've got to accept they're going on the record and saying they have 350 employees there, which is. But always my goal, get somebody on the record. If you find out later that they weren't there, I guess you can handle it however you want to handle it. But why would they? I mean, they're telling us that's the number. But at some point we have to accept what they tell us.
Talk about your neighbors. I know in my neighborhood, I know in other neighborhoods that there's a new family that moved in down the road. They work at Wolf Speed. I mean, that's all around us. I mean, and it's happening everywhere. So
I also think that if you go back 10 years, was it AMS that we lost?
Mm-hmm.
That was a tough time. And being where we are right now with everything that's going on here, the base, Marcy, even with what's happening because you go back 10 years, there was no pumpkin patch at that point.
No.
Think about everything that's happened in the region.
Well,
we're in a much better place right now.
I say, go back, from and when I took office and looking at what downtown looked like, what Griffiths looked like, what Marcy looked like, what Rome looked like. I mean, it's all different, and it's all changed, and it's all grown, and it's all cleaned up in a lot of ways. And that's the other side of it. In terms of what else we've built, in terms of that, and so what's the benefit of knocking, a company like that and doing that? But look, it's the silly season as we get into politics.
It is.
You're going to hear more.
Can I ask for some ARPA funding? They could go into lessons, driving lessons. We could give driving lessons. One of the areas
I'm all for this.
I'd like to teach. One area is go the speed limit, not under the speed limit. Number 2, yield means yield. That's important.
Does not mean stop.
When you're merging, but sometimes it might mean stop. If there's a car coming, yield could mean stop. But the big one is yesterday I'm going through over by the old OD.
I knew it. The roundabout.
Going through the roundabout. And now this is an opposite problem of what you think I'm going to say. Normally I'm able to fly through the roundabouts. In this case, traffic was heavy, and there was a car that had just entered and was coming at me. I stopped, and the car behind me starts honking its horn. Like, why did you stop? I stopped because I had to stop because there are cars
in the roundabout.
In the roundabout. You've got to wait for your moment to get in. Normally, you should be able to fly right in, but there will come those times where the roundabout is packed, and you can't drive. If you drive in, you're going to get hit. Lessons. Teaching people how to use a roundabout.
Many years ago, I taught defensive driving when I was in
There we go.
There we go.
You could teach the course.
But I know the experience when Griffiths the Griffiths Parkway was completed. And
there are 3 of them
within
over
the 3 of them. And I go through there every night because I live in Rome, and so and that's right off where I go.
Yeah.
And I got whacked coming around because somebody just blew through the last one, the last one on the side where the fields are. I mean, it's when you see it coming, but you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
You do not always have the right of way in the roundabout, and that people have to understand that.
You have to watch.
You got to watch. Yet, on the other hand, you have the person who's afraid to enter the roundabout, and there's no one in it. It's like, what are we doing here?
The ones that stop when there's no one even.
Right, that's my point. They're
not
stopping.
A car in sight.
There's no car in the roundabout, and they've stopped. Yeah. What should I do? How about enter?
Let me see if we could do some ARPA funding for that.
I think we're going to have to. I like it.
We have a little bit.
To me, there is money well spent.
We'll work on it.
I'm just saying. County Executive, enjoy the weekend.
Enjoy the weekend.
It's going to be raining tomorrow, but it's going to be 63 degrees.
I know. And then Sunday it's going to be 36.
I didn't want to talk about that.
I know you didn't want to talk about that.
But next week, 50s and 60s. We're making the turn. So, all right. Thank you.
See you next week.
It's 8:45. Quick break. We'll give away some comets. We'll give away some. I could do comets, I guess, for tonight. I will also give away some tickets for Fat Cats Comedy Club. Give you a chance to see some comedy action. And comedian Luke Thayer will come back in here in studio. Coming up at WIBX.
Hi, I'm Max Carbone, sales manager at Power Sports Utica. We are currently overstocked on 2023 Ski-Doo models, and we are offering up to $2,000 off sticker plus a $500 gift card for anything in the store. Kawasaki KLR models have $1,000 in rebates as well, and we have all colors and trims available in stock and ready for delivery. Kawasaki KLX models have $400 in rebate and up to $1,500 off KX models. Come visit us at Power Sports Utica, Central New York's Four Seasons Toy Store.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
It's incredible. After using Babbel, I'm ready to start having real conversations in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Babbel. Évidemment.
Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
I can't take this kitchen any longer. Carl, we need to start looking for a new house.
Honey, you know the housing market is tight. It's going to be next to impossible to find something that we like.
I know, but this kitchen has to go.
Hey, what about a home equity loan from Adirondack Bank? We can turn the equity from our home into cash to renovate, just the way you want.
Renovate?
Adirondack Bank has competitive rates, and they've been a trusted community bank for decades.
A new kitchen. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah.
Then, of course, we would need new furniture, and we could repair the deck, even add a pool, and take that trip to Italy that we've always talked about.
Whoa, slow down, honey. Let's go talk to the experts at Adirondack Bank about that home equity loan. Then we can decide where to start.
I've always wanted to add on a craft room, and our bathroom needs a facelift.
Don't move. Improve. Stop into your local Adirondack Bank branch for more information on a home equity loan or visit AdirondackBank.com. Bank local with Adirondack Bank, your hometown community bank. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack, so they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Discover the difference that comes from a financial partner committed to building better tomorrows. I'm Jim McGuire with Baird Private Wealth Management in Utica. As a provider of trusted financial services in Utica, Baird is committed to making the future brighter for you and for our community. That's why we support local organizations like the Women's Fund of Herkimer and Oneida counties and the Capitol Theater in Rome, because we care about Utica. Discover the Baird difference. Visit BairdUtica.com.
Hey, if you're dealing with pain, this is something I experienced that my dad was going through some terrible pain, back pain that just became so excruciating he could not find a comfortable position. He couldn't sleep, which led to even additional problems. Just could not get rid of the back pain. We reached out to Dr. Hyder, and it was miraculous. They handled surgeries as well as injections that could prevent a surgery, and that's what we went through. These injections, it was, give you an idea, when we're walking in, we're helping him get into the facility. On the way out, he walked out on his own. It was like a miracle. If you're suffering from pain, their website says it all, killpain.com. Dr. Hyder, people come from all over the Northeast to his facility on French Road and in the business park. And you can see it right in the parking lot. Out-of-state plates. People come from all over for his procedure. Dr. Hyder of the Omni Surgery Center. Omni Surgery Center. Go to their website, killpain.com, or call for an appointment. You do not have to live with the pain. 315-765-8448, where modern technology meets cutting-edge surgery. Killpain.com. Dr. Hyder at Omni Surgery Center at the Business Park or on French Road 315-765-8448.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
I have stuff to give away. Where's Manaski? Is he always recording something? I have stuff to give away. I don't love it when we do these things during the show. I have stuff to give away, and we have no phone lines to do it with. So we'll use the app. If you would like, and you tell us what you want, if you'd like tickets to Fat Cats Comedy Club, tell us how many tickets you'd like, and use the app to message into us. We need your email address and your name and which show you'd like to attend tonight at 7:30 or tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. I have tickets for both of those shows available. And our comedian headliner, Luke Thayer, is in studio right now. Luke, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
We have no phone lines to give anything away. And before I leave, I'll also give away some Comets tickets. So for Fat Cats Comedy Club, message us on the app, and we'll select one person to win a table for up to 6 people. Right now, use the app or any other way you can message us. Larry this morning says, Bill and Jeff, what a surprise. Verlander is on the DL. Scherzer's not far behind. He will also land there. The Mets are screwed.
Yeah, that's probably true. The last thing he said. I mean, look, what was I saying that last week? It's like the Titanic. I don't know how this boat is going to wind up at the end of the ocean, but I know by the end of the season, that's where we're going to be.
There's an iceberg. Yeah.
Not sure exactly
we
how we
know
get
how
there.
the Titanic sank. I don't know if I know you got left college a little early, but it was the iceberg.
It was an iceberg.
I know as a disappointed Mets fan, you always go, you know what? We got the rotation. We got the lineup. We're going there. And then at some point along the way, you go, yeah, no, our boat just sunk again.
Yeah.
So we didn't go anywhere.
So what are you seeing when you're going around the country? You're traveling, you're going into comedy clubs. Are people still laughing? I hear everybody's so offended. Nobody wants to laugh anymore.
No, I think that's overstated.
Yeah.
I'm not a super offensive comic to begin with. I'm not one of those, right or left type of comics.
You probably get into a lot of the Trump jokes.
Oh no! See, I don't talk about.
See?
The reason I don't talk about politics much on stage is because you never leave a political discussion going, "I'm glad I did that."
Yeah, you're
wow,
right.
We're so much closer now.
Usually, it's like, don't invite them to Thanksgiving next year.
You're like, I can't talk to Grandpa anymore.
Yeah,
that's how it
that's
ends.
Right.
And
I mean, you think about it. During Trump, there were wedded couples, people who had been married for years, divorcing over politics.
Oh, yeah, which I maybe that was just the final straw for them.
I guess.
I'm guessing there was a few other
There may have
issues.
been more. There may have been more.
I don't like that you're president. And so
Yeah.
I think that I do think it's a little overstated. I think most people out throughout the country just want to have a good time. They just want to live. I think that the loudest voices tend to be the fringes of everything in society.
Yeah.
And so it ends up being most people are like, look, I just want to live. I just want to go to welding school. I want to make a living. I want that $35 an hour.
Yeah.
So I think that just generally speaking, that's not what.
How about college campuses? Have you done any?
I don't find college campuses bad. I do colleges, and I don't think they get offended. Like I think that's the overstated thing. The people that usually get offended want something.
Right.
So I've done cruise ships, and it's always somebody old that wants a free steak. And so they're offended. They have a complaint to make because they're offended and they really need to have dinner for 2.
Don't you love, and you know who those people are because they'll, like, for instance, now this would not be, I've noticed this in the dining world.
Mm-hmm.
So if, for instance, you want to complain and you ordered a spaghetti, like a side of spaghetti.
Yes.
And the side of spaghetti didn't come. It's almost like a test. It's like, they won't tell you that the side didn't come because the waiter could correct that and bring the side of spaghetti. Instead, they'll wait to the very end, just before the check comes out. I never got that side of spaghetti. How much are you going to take off the bill? I feel like they want something. A free meal, money off the bill.
Thing. They want to be. It's this whole scam.
Yeah.
Like it's all the scheme. Like if I wait until this amount of time, which is I have family members that are like that, where everything's wrong the entire time, and I'm like, please don't do this. Please don't do this. At least, I do appreciate saving your complaints to the end.
Yes.
So nobody has done anything to my food.
Yeah,
I'm like, look,
right.
I'm not with them. Like, we're not that close. Look, I know it's my aunt, but we're not that close.
It's through marriage.
Could you tell?
It's through marriage.
Could you tell the chef, I have nothing to do with this?
Yes.
You're right, and you'll always be in that meal where somebody complains. I mean, some chefs will be offended. You like come from a chef's lifestyle.
Yeah. My family, my father, my mother,
So some will be offended, like if you're like this isn't cooked properly. It's probably not the right way to say it, right?
Right.
And it goes back. I would be like, I'm not sending it back. I'm just I think if I leave it here long enough, there's the warmth that's still in the steak. It's cooking itself right now. I am not sending that back.
I'll take it home and cook it myself. I'm not sending it back.
That's right.
And Jeff, I do appreciate that you go, I've got family. And then you explain what family was, my mother and my father.
Well, I only say that because
in the business.
Yeah.
I can't boil water to save my life. I really can't even boil water, but they're wizards in the kitchen, so I just never had to learn.
So is your dad, now your dad is the chef.
Yes.
Is he someone that if somebody sent something back, it was like, I hate things like, this wasn't cooked right, this doesn't taste good, this is bad. Those are bad statements to make because it may be a situation where you just don't like it. So saying I don't like something, I don't prefer it this way versus this is bad, there's a different outcome. But with some chefs, if it's anything if there's any change you want, it's not going to be good.
My father would always prefer to have a happy customer than not. But
right,
I mean, if you come back and you say this isn't cooked right versus can this get a couple more minutes on the grill, that's a whole different.
I'm sorry,
thing.
I'm really picky. I'm an idiot. I apologize, but could you just cook this a little longer? Versus this isn't cooked properly.
Yeah,
you say that crap. That's offensive.
Yeah, and that's kind of in a way a version of the outrage culture where it's like if you come to people and say, look, that kind of bothers me. Like whether it's the food, whether it's a joke or something like that, that rubs me the wrong way, or I would like that on the grill a couple more minutes. Then everything's kind of cool. We can all work it out.
Right.
But if you go, you need to stop cooking.
Right.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be a cook anymore.
That's right. You're bad.
You're bad at this because I like to have medium rare and this is rare, and so you're done.
Because with some people, it really is what they like is the only way. And that's where we are with politics today and everything else. This is the way it should be. This is how I like it. Everybody else is wrong. And that's why you got to be careful with that.
I know, and it's tough because I'm the only person that can be right. So unless you agree with me,
that's right.
There's a lot of wrong people out there.
They're piling up too.
Yeah,
they are lining up. Anyway, check him out, Luke Thayer, and the opening act, the middle is
Colin Armstrong.
Colin Armstrong.
Colin Armstrong. He's very funny. He'll be there with me too.
All right, cool. And check it all out tonight and tomorrow. Davey, I said I'd give away a pair of Comets tickets for tonight's game. If you'd like to go, I have 2 tickets. You'd have to message in on the app. Otherwise, we have no way to communicate with you. And I'd need your name, email address, and phone number on that. Just send it in on the app, and we'll give away a pair of Comets tickets. Enjoy the weekend. Be safe out there. And we're back here on Monday morning.
From the Stanley Theater Studio, WIBX 950 Utica Rome, W295DI Utica Rome, your news, talk, and sports leader, a Town Square media station.
Staying out of it. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
Mr. President, do you think that the charges against Trump are politically motivated?
No comment. Well, it's hard to hear, but President Biden just told Fox's Peter Doocy no comment on Trump the morning after the former president's indictment in New York City.
Chuck Schumer says Mr. Trump is subject to the same laws as every American. He will be able to avail himself of the legal system and a jury, not politics, to determine his fate according to the facts and the law.
That's Peter Doocy on the Senate's Democratic leader. Republicans in Congress have a far different reaction.
I think that Democrats risk
a backlash from this.
James Comer chairs the House Oversight Committee and wants to question the progressive Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg, whose grand jury voted to indict Trump. GOP Senator Josh Hawley also tells Fox.
The message is they will use any power that they have to interfere in the next presidential election.
The former president calls it an attack on the country by radical left-wing monsters. Now, he could surrender as early as next week, and while the indictment remains sealed, it's reported there could be 34 charges related to the hush money payment before the 2016 election to keep a porn star quiet about an alleged Trump affair. The president, as he left the White House to go to Mississippi to assess tornado destruction, also called for Russia to release Evan Gershkovich. The Wall Street Journal demands the same after its reporter was jailed in Russia as